There it goes. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Big Apple Hockey. And, I say it every week, but this really is a jam-packed show that we got this week. Lots of news coming to you from the Rangers, from the Islanders, and we got Ray Ferraro coming in and stopping by. I, of course, am your host that you just don't want to look at or listen to anymore, Marc Williams. And I am joined by the one and only Mr. John Filkowski.
Just like Tesla, we're coming at you live.
All right. And also, we have Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
I don't really have any words today, but let's get at it, boys.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing we could do also is, as I noticed that I left on the Islanders banner I was showing to you about that. So, oops, that's my bad. By the way, once again, we've got our first bar meetup coming in 2 weeks on the 28th. That's going to be, it's right now scheduled to be in Hicksville. So come on down. We're going to be doing raffles, 50-50 drawings, giving away autographed jerseys. And again, we're going to be doing a show. So that's also exciting. Come on down. You can talk to us after we're in the middle of broadcast. So,
Mikey, killing Anthony already here, Mikey, in the comment section. With the sarcastic Islanders are killing it comment.
Well, unfortunately, we finally have the Islanders as the A block, although they're always in the A block, but still. But I did have a video preparing what they were thinking going into Tampa Bay.
Hedman mishandled the puck, and it's a breakaway for Barzal. Matthew Barzal in scores.
Prepare to die.
And when I saw that breakaway goal, I thought that game was going to go completely differently. But instead, Anthony, the Islanders lose their fourth straight game after their nightmare pair of games in Florida. 13 games into this season on this opening road trip, they're going to finish 5-6-2. So one game under NHL 500, but they were outscored 14-2 in the last 3 games. Is there a cause for concern?
Have you guys ever played a video game where you're getting through the stage or you're getting close to beat the game, and like for whatever reason, I don't know, like either the game freezes and you have to start over, or you lose it and you have to like make back all that progress. And when that happens, you put so much time and effort into it, you become deflated, and you almost don't want to. You stop. You don't want to play anymore, and you take a break because at that moment you're just so far, you can't do it. Another analogy I got is, have you ever built like a piece of furniture? You got home, you're going through all the steps, and then when you're almost done, you realize you screwed up somewhere, and you either leave it as is and it won't be as good, or you have to start all over. And again, you don't want to do it because you just put so much time into it. And where I'm getting at is, I think this is kind of happening to the Islanders. I think after getting to the conference finals in back-to-back years, I think there's just so much when they think about having to go through an 82-game schedule, which is a daunting task, just to get back where they were, to have the opportunity. It's just so mentally tough and emotionally exhausting that I think they're just not competing at the level they need to be. I just think that analogy, I just think they don't want to do it right now. It's like when you think about what they have to do, it's tough for them. And I think that's a big part of what happens to some teams when they get so close for 2 years in a row. Because they're used to playing that high emotional hockey that playoff hockey is. And when they got to go through the 82-game regular season just to get there again, I think sometimes that's tough mentally. And I think they're struggling right now. They don't. Trotz yesterday in his post game, used the term. He's like, I often don't call them fragile, but they're a fragile group right now, and they are. And then when you compound this with a 13-game road schedule to start the year, it makes it even harder. And those are the two things I think they have at play right now. I mean, it's over now. They got through the 13-game road trip. Some fans are saying, even 5-6-2, I would have reluctantly signed up for when the season started. But they're a game under 500 by NHL standards, which isn't terrible considering what they had to do, but they didn't put put themselves in a little bit of a hole. But kind of like we said, they're a really good home team. Even at Barclays Center, which was a terrible arena for hockey, they had success there. They were great last year at the Coliseum. So hopefully, being at home, UBS Arena, the fans, adding that emotion to the game there, kind of helps pull them out of this and gets them going. I've seen a couple of people say in social media today the real season starts on Saturday. Now that they're home now, maybe we'll see what they're really made of, and this can really help them out. And I will say, being at home does play a big role. I know some people who really maybe not as knowledgeable at sports will say, "Oh, well, what can the fans do?" But I'm telling you, the fans can, when you don't have it on a particular night, the fans can really push you over the edge. Them cheering on a big hit. These guys are human beings. Clearly, they feel that adrenaline, and that gets them going. So I think for once, having the home crowd behind them and cheering them on, I think that might give them extra little motivation. So, we'll see what happens. I'm still really excited to be there on Saturday. It's going to be a historic night. First, brand new building in New York. I know people consider MetLife Stadium, New Jersey, but this is the first. Since Yankee Stadium, right? The first
Barclays Center.
Barclays Center. Okay.
Yeah.
And
we'll get back to that headline in a minute.
Yeah. And by all accounts, UBS Arena is going to obviously be state of the art. It's going to be beautiful, and I'm looking forward to it. But as for the play on the ice, they're not playing Barry Trotz hockey right now, and I think they need to regroup here. Obviously, we'll touch on it a little bit, but the news to Ryan Pulock being out 4 to 6 weeks hurts them with a already kind of shoddy defense that will hurt them. I guess the silver lining in is at least it's not Pelech, because I think that would be more devastating if it was Adam Pelech.
Yep.
But they're gonna have to. Lou Lamoriello's got to figure something out. Only thing is, earlier in the season, I don't know how many teams are willing to wheel and deal yet. So I don't know what's out there for him. Obviously, we're not privy to conversations that general managers have. So who knows? Maybe
especially when it's not Lou Lamoriello.
Yeah. And so I guess the most likely scenario is they recall Robin Salo, who's been very good in Bridgeport, and just from my time watching him in the preseason, he reminds me a lot of Devon Taves, actually, with the way he skates and moves the puck. So I'm hoping, maybe Salo jumps in and has the success that Taves did once he became a regular and got recalled. That would be good. But Lou has to do something here. But just overall on this 13-game road trip, before I hand it off to one of you guys, 5-6-2, obviously not good, but also considering what they had to go through, not the worst. I would have liked, obviously, if they could have got a couple more wins, but it is what it is. They're in this situation. They're going home. And hopefully they can pick up their play here.
Well, when I need somebody to identify problems for any of my sports teams, I look at Mr. John Volkowski. So what do you think about the current state of the New York Islanders?
They're simply not as good as a team as they were last season. There's depth missing. The defense has been a problem because of the fact that they lost Nick Leddy, and it created a big hole in their top four defense. And you don't have that great skating.
Which, by the way, Anthony called that.
Yeah, well, I said that myself. I said that their biggest hole was going to be a top four defenseman. And I said that during the season preview. Who was going to play with Scott Mayfield? They still really haven't figured out that question. And Scott Mayfield hasn't looked as good because of that. And then now that they had to split up Pelech and Pulock. And those two apart, are not nearly as good as they are together. And Adam Pelech is still a great shutdown defender, don't get me wrong. But if you're going to tell me that those two apart are as good as they are together, I have oceanfront property in Kansas to sell you, because that's a crock. So you need depth on defense. They need a defenseman. They need a scorer. The scoring is just the secondary scoring on the Islanders is just terrible. I mean, where is their secondary scoring coming from right now? You're not
besides two games, not Brock Nelson.
Yeah, I mean, it's you can talk about how Brock Nelson's having that great start to the season, and that's great. Like you need him to have the start to the season that he's had. 9 points, 7 goals in 13 games. That's really good for a guy who has never really cracked like the 60-point mark in his career. You want more from guys like Barzal. You want more from Kyle Palmieri, who got his first goal of the season last night. That's just unacceptable from him. You need more. You need a lot more. And if you're not going to get that, then you've got big problems. And I'm pulling up their scoring as we speak. And
it's going to get ugly.
It's ugly. It really is. Matt Barzal's got 4 goals and 8 points in 13 games. Unacceptable for him. He needs to be a lot closer to a point per game. Anthony Beauvillier, 3 goals, 7 points. Josh Bailey, 1 goal, 6 points in 12 games. Kyle Palmieri, like I said, got his first goal of the season last night. He has 6 points.
JG
Pajot has 4 points. And you know what? I did criticize when the Islanders went and got Pajot because I thought it was kind of an overkill bottom 6 move. But he is one of the better bottom 6 centers in the entire league, one of the better third-line centers in the league. If you're going to have a player like him, he cannot be producing at a 35-point rate. He's got to be a 40-plus point center for this team because this team needs the offense. So you're not getting it. And Zdeno Chara has just as many points as Adam Pelech and Ryan Pulock. And he's played the same amount of games as Pelech and 1 more game than Pulock. Like,
yeah, would you say that Chara's not really there for points?
No, he's not. And that's the point. That's the entire point. You can't have your 2 of your top. Listen, I know Pelech's not there for points either. But Ryan Pulock, 2 points, no goals? Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Yeah. And the biggest thing, and they pointed it out last night's game, and AJ Malesko, who I absolutely love, does a great job covering the NHL and has been great on Islanders telecast for the last couple of seasons now. She pointed out that they're missing guys like Letty and Devon Toews, guys that are great skating defenders that can move the puck. So why is Robin Salo not playing? Why is Sebastian Aho not playing when you need guys that can transport the puck? Barry,
I think they're starting with their veterans, and they're going to start moving up these rookies.
Barry's got to wake up.
He's going because you know what? First things first. Islander fans that are on the ledge right now, relax. You're going to be fine.
They haven't played their best hockey.
I know the best hockey has not come. Let me go back to your analogy and the metaphor that you used before, Anthony. It's sort of like, imagine if you were up against the President's Trophy winner, you took it to a Game 7 and lost in overtime. Then the following year, you won the President's Trophy and you lost the eventual Stanley Cup champion, your division rival and all-star rival, if you want to use it as that, some guy named Sidney Crosby. And then you did it again the next year, losing to him as they watch him win a cup. And finally, the third year, you break through. What I'm trying to get at you using that metaphor you used before is Barry Trotz has been through this already with the Washington Capitals. He can easily recover and do this with the Islanders. It's a good thing that they're going home. They play 15 of their next 21 at UBS Arena. We have no idea what the effect of it is going to be like, but they're definitely going to have the adrenaline going Saturday night. They're definitely going to have the adrenaline going in the third game, which is versus the Rangers. Holy shit. Wow. They're going to open a new building. The next night play Toronto, and then the next night play the Rangers. And then the game after that's the Bruins. They might be running on adrenaline for the next week. So that might be a good thing for the Islanders. But finishing what I was initially getting at, if they can start getting on a run, that's something. But Parise still hasn't scored. Their power play has been abysmal. More on that later. And we only have a couple more minutes before we have Ray Ferraro coming on. But it's something that this team desperately needs to correct. A home game could help. Playing a tomato can could really help.
Yeah.
But it's just the Calgary Flames might not be the right time at the time for them. Because last night in our group chat, I was saying that last night's game is just a day. It was a day of work you just wanted to get through as soon as they scored 4 in the first period. It's just let's get this over with and get home, because and we've all been there during our work weeks where we're just like, oh God, let's just get this day over. So Anthony, I got to get back to your thoughts before Ray gets on.
Well, I mean, Filk brought up a lot of good points. Why isn't Robin Salo playing? They need that defenseman who can skate the puck out of trouble. Sebastian Aho finally did start playing. And Barry Trotz actually referenced when asked about his play, he said that he's a puck moving offensive defenseman, but when they're playing from behind as much as they are and getting pinned in their zone as much as they are, he hasn't really had the opportunity to get the puck and skate it out. It's been about trying to, get the puck unpinned from the boards and move the puck, and they're being worked right now. So, when they're playing from behind, he can't really utilize his skill set as best as he can, which is that skating. But Robin Salo, I think would even though he's a rookie, and we saw, even though these highly regarded rookies don't mesh right away, like we see you guys with Niels Lundqvist, it's still probably beneficial to put him in because he does bring you that element that's sorely lacking. Because when you look at it, Green and Char are not good skaters. I mean, no. Green's a little better, obviously, than Char, but that doesn't say too much.
Zdeno Char at this point has the turning radius of a school.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right now, Patrick Nemeth looks like a figure skater compared to Zdeno Char.
Yeah,
and even though Pelech and Pulock are good skaters, Robin Salo is still more of a true puck moving, faster defenseman. So they can use him. I thought about the trade route, but I mentioned that there's not really many guys that are available right now. Sure, could Lou try to go out and overpay for Gerard early? I mean, maybe, but I don't know if he's willing to move the assets to do that. So I'm interested to see how they handle this. 4 to 6 weeks is a lot of time. So we'll see what they end up doing, but they have to at least recall Robin Salo. And then as far as the scoring goes quickly, they have to put more pucks to the net. I know Parise mentioned he's playing well, even though he hasn't scored, which is true on the forecheck and all that. But at some point, guys like him, Palmieri, need to start scoring more consistently. And I just think overall everyone's down on themselves, and when you're down on yourselves, that you're not gonna play like you should. So they hopefully being at home gets them in here. But
Anthony, we're gonna be cutting it off right there because it's time for us to introduce our guest, and it is a man who has got a lot of ways I can introduce you. Former Ranger, former Islander, ESPN, TSN analyst, Mr. Ray Ferraro. Ray, thank you very much for joining us.
There's a lot of formers in there. You could keep going, There's 6 teams, although I try not to I try to like the ones that I like, the Rangers, I kind of skip over because that was only 8 months, and St. Louis was 2 months. So I kind of I like to think of it as 4 teams, but really it was 6.
Well, I've often said the Rangers' biggest mistake of that season was trading you because but that's going to get, I'm actually going to lead that into a different question. And because the Rangers hurt their center depth badly when they traded you that season. Do the Rangers have center depth this season? I didn't think I was going to be the first question, but
you came right out with, right?
Well, yeah, I did. Yeah.
Well, it's funny, when all the Eichel stuff was popping around there about, would they make a move for Eichel? It's just, you can't essentially have $20 million in two centermen unless they're McDavid and Draisaitl. You just can't, because there's no money anywhere else. You got a couple of great players, and then you've got to cut corners all over the place. The cap kills depth everywhere. And so everybody wants what somebody else has. A lot of teams would probably like Adam Fox too on their blue line, and not having him onto an extension till next year or anything like that. But you got what you got, right?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of teams that might have to cut corners in terms of cap management and having top-heavy rosters with players, do you think that Toronto's going to be able to make some moves at the deadline, Ray?
They are. So one of the things that they're doing is they play a pretty threadbare roster, right? So they don't have a lot of extra guys hanging around. They have the benefit of their farm team is about 3 miles away. So if they need a player, he just drives up the road, comes to practice, and they don't have to waste a day of pay on flying him around. So it doesn't seem like much, but each day you accrue cash, it sits there at the deadline for you. And so there are holes in their team. Like right now, they're trying to play Nick Ritchie with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. He's got no goals. Like, that's clearly not a first line left winger. But what they did in the summer, they went out and signed a couple of guys. It's a couple of those signings that nobody really notices, and then you see them up close and you go, geez, these guys are pretty good. So they signed David Kampf from Chicago. I think he makes $1.5 million, and Andre Kasha from Boston, who makes $1.25. Kasha's a hell of a player. Now, he's been waylaid, unfortunately, with concussion over the last couple of years, but he's healthy, and I'm telling you guys, he looks awesome. But so you've got a top 9 guy making $1.25 million. So there is room, right? There is room. Kampf has been a really good ad. He's got 3 goals this year. He had 1 last year in Chicago in 56 games. Like, that's hard to do. But he checks well. He kills penalties, gives some space for their big money boys to get a little breather. So I think they can add. The key for them might be if Jack Campbell can keep playing the way he can, or the way he is, because he's been brilliant for them, really has. I did the game last night. He had another shutout, and I think Toronto's pretty good. I do. They need a forward for sure. They probably could use another defenseman. Can you do both? There's no discussion that starts and ends without the cap, right?
Exactly.
Ray, before you joined, we were talking about the Islanders, and as the Islander fan in this group, I'll have to ask you about them. First off, I remember watching you in '93 in that series against the Capitals, and even though
you were young, eh? Do you remember back that far?
8 years old, I was loving it. But 13-game road trip aside, the 5-6-2 record obviously isn't where they wanted to be. But you've played in the league a long time, so maybe you could speak to this. Do you think the guys in the room, after going to the conference finals in back-to-back years, and then thinking now of what they have to go through, through a full 82-game season to hopefully get back to that point, you think they're having trouble raising their game after playing so much high-intense playoff hockey last 2 years that they're struggling right now to match that intensity?
I do for sure, but it's not just that though. So the playoffs are one thing, the 82 games are another. They had to start with 13 games on the road. I can almost guarantee you that every guy looked at that schedule and went, look at that. That sucks. Like, that's going to be hard. And I knew, they know they could come back for a day or two here, because it wasn't like one 13-game road trip, but playing on the road that long is mentally exhausting. And you saw as the trip went on, they got worse. They need to go home. They need to go home, practice a little bit, sleep at home, eat at home, see their families, get away from just bus, hotel, airport, rink, game, loss, go to the next one. That's one thing. Number 2 is Zdeno Chara is going to punch his ticket one trip to the Hall of Fame, right? But he can't do what Nick Leddy did. He can't transport the puck. He can't move like Leddy. So again, around the league, people will look and go, oh yeah, Nick Leddy had to go because of the cap, and here we are with the cap again. And you try and fill him in, but the reason he left was because his salary was too big. You don't have that salary to replace him. So Noah Dobson, here's a bigger role. Geez, he didn't handle it very well this first 13 games. So he's in street clothes the other night. So there's a couple of things on the blue line. They're an older team, and older guys get worn down energy-wise quicker, of course, than younger guys. So I wouldn't panic yet, but there's some worry spots there. But because that's a really tough division. It's going to be a hard road out of there anyway.
Ray, lately we've been seeing like a rash of slewfoots going around in the league. Does the league need to get back and focus and try to get those out of the game?
Well, I think you're talking about one guy. Right? I mean,
yes. He's actually going to be mentioned in our next segment.
Yeah, I don't know.
And as much as I can't wait for him to be a broadcaster, it's something that
I don't know if there's a rash of them. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what the hell he's doing because he's never done it before. You know, I don't recall over his career Subban kicking people's feet out. It's a garbage play. It really is. And I don't know what you guys thought if you were watching the game the other night when Sammy Blais got hurt, but I could hear him scream when he went down. And I've torn my ACL before. I didn't need to see anything else to know that was bad. That was either a broken ankle or an ACL. And poor kid. I mean, he was, he's on the last year of his contract. He looked like he was, he fit, like he looked really good there. The other plays that Subban had, I didn't like. I only marginally didn't like this one. Like, I don't think he tried to really slew foot him, but I don't like how he approached the play. And as a result, somebody's going to lose their season. It's one of the worst plays in the game. It really is, the slew foot, because if you're the guy that it's done to, you're totally defenseless. Like, there's nothing you can do. And you just hope that you hit and land okay, because your leg could get twisted out. You could fall on your head. There's no defense. You're going backwards. Your hands are in front of you. I'm with you. I think he'll be a great broadcaster too.
Yeah.
Well, sticking with the Rangers, Ray, what do you think of their recent play? Do you think that they're kind of maybe lucking into wins, or do you see a team that's not really there yet, that's still adjusting to a new head coach?
I think the last 3 games have been pretty good for them. I mean, early in the year, it was a one-man band basically with Shesterkin. Oh, she's okay. Yeah. Have her walk in. That's okay. Who cares?
Yeah, no.
It's so accurate.
Your little sweetie's cute. Have her walk in.
Yeah, she does what she wants, really.
Well, of course, and why wouldn't she? I think they're pretty good. They're going to miss a forward now in Blais that you got to try and replace. Like, who's going to do the Barclay Goodrow can't play there. He had 8 goals last year. It's a career high. That's not what they brought him in for. But okay, that's one thing. Then the next point is, well, who are you going to put there? And so maybe if you can smother over that for a while, again, this is where the cap, in my mind, is a detriment to team balance, team depth, is you have to accrue the cap space. You can't just go get a player right now, because how are you going to fit them in? What their goal is and should be, and I have the Rangers tomorrow night. I'm in Toronto right now, so I have the Ranger game tomorrow night for TSN, is they have to learn and continue to drive away at limiting the number of shots, limiting the amount of time they spend in their zone, because it's not just the shots. If you spend 30 seconds of your shift in your zone, great, you get the puck, you go to the red line, you dump it in the corner, and you change. And so if your best players are doing that, well, then they're not scoring either. So I think they are getting adjusted to Girard. I'm a big fan. I've known him a long time, but I'm a fan of the way he coaches. I think people like to play for him. I think they like to play for him because there's some freedom in the game for the players. But the early part of the year, Girard said, you're not going to win games like this. This isn't how you're supposed to win.
So, Ray, before we let you go, I had to tell you this story, actually, this question. The guy above me we play men's league hockey here on Long Island. And when we had Darius Kasparaitis on a show about 2 weeks ago, I told him this as well. But we got out there on the ice, and lo and behold, Benoit Hogue is playing against us.
Can Hoagie still skate?
Yeah.
God.
This was like,
Can he still skate?
Yeah, I can.
This was going back like 12 years ago or so. But even then, Kelly wasn't trying that much, but you could tell like how good of a player he really was, effortlessly. What can you tell us about him from your time playing with him, and what makes him a good player, that he could even still play hockey now and still be really good?
Hoagie came in the Pierre Turgeon trade, and so Pat LaFontaine went the other way, and we got Turge, and then we got this Benoit Hogue guy, and he hadn't played much, and I certainly didn't know anything about him, and Al Arbor put him on a line with myself and Pat Flatley. And sometimes, coaches write lines and they put them on the board and they don't like it and they erase it and they put another name there and they think, and then sometimes three guys just get thrown together and it works. And that's kind of what happened with Hoagie and myself and Flats. And man, he was so fast. He could shoot. He was tough. Hoagie was tough. But I'll tell you a funny story about our line was, like, we would argue about the game, like during the game. So like, if Flats, who was like one of the best cornermen in the league, if he was in a puck battle and I went to help him, like he'd get mad at me to, get out of here. I got the puck. If I put a puck in his skates, he'd yell at me, like, put it on my stick. And I'd yell at him, like, if you could keep up, I wouldn't have to worry about it. And then Hoagie, you two guys just get the puck over here. And oh man, like we used to argue on the bench all the time, and we loved playing together. Hoagie is funny. He used to, actually, you know what? Here's the best Benoit Hogue story involving me of all time. So me and him got into this little thing about, I cut his skate laces. He'd, do something to my helmet, so I'd be late for practice. So it was escalating a little bit, right? So we come home after a road game, and it's raining. And so we're parked at the old practice rink. So I get into my car, I turn the wipers on, and it's like it's foggy, right? And so it's 1:30 in the morning. I want to get going. So I'm driving and I got the defrost on. It's not working. I got the wipers. Now I got the window open. I'm like, what is this? Something's wrong with the defrost, obviously. So I'm kind of looking out the window. I'm driving home. I'm getting pelted with rain. I get out of my car at home. And as I'm walking out, I'm overwhelmed with the smell of Vicks vapor rub.
Oh, no.
He had smeared the windshield on the front. And so I had to go out and clean it the next day, like with a towel, because you can't get it off. And now it's all over the wipers. I had to go get new wiper blades. And I said, Hoagie, you watch it, man. I'm going to put a fish in your car, and that car's going to stink forever. He goes, you do that. He goes, oh yeah, except he goes, you do that, I'll blow up your house. And I'm like, what? And he goes, you don't mess around. And so Hoagie won. He beat me on that one.
That's great.
What's funny, Ray? I was watching a bit of the '93 series between you guys, the Islanders, and the Penguins. And honestly, I thought that was probably the best hockey I've seen you play in your entire career. There was a look.
Thank you, and I agree.
And there was a look in your face in every highlight that they had of you and all the goals that you scored in that series. What was it about the Penguins that gave you that look in your face that you could clearly see in these highlights? Was it then just the fact that they were they were like the number one team?
Couple things. Yeah, no, it was a couple things really. Like I broke my leg that year and dislocated my ankle. I missed like 45 games and came back for the playoffs. And everybody else is worn down and excited. I'm fresh and excited. Like I didn't play any games. I think I played 6 games after November. And so like I was so excited to play. The Penguins, probably rightfully so, did not respect us at all. I mean, like if you looked at those 2 rosters on the board, if you want to make yourself laugh, write those 2 rosters on the board and see who oh my God. There's no reason we should have been in the series. Glenn Healy was unbelievable. And we played our asses off. And Al Arbor told us before the game, like, can you play even with Ron Francis for one shift? And I was like, yeah, I can do that for one shift. Sure. He's like, well, I'm not asking you to do it for the series. I'm just asking you to do it for this shift. And he did that to every player. And everybody felt like, man, we can do that for a shift. And then pretty soon you're one time through the lines and he says, can you do it again? And then pretty soon you've melted away one period. And so the more it went on, the more frustrated they got, the more encouraged we got. And I was like, man, I couldn't believe we had a chance to beat those guys, honestly. And it was the best time of my pro career by far. I just loved it. And I was so fired up for that series. And when David scored in game 7, David Volek's shot, when it hit the net and I jumped on him in the corner, so we got buried by the guys. I could hear Glenn Healy. I couldn't see him because there was guys on top of me. I could hear Glenn from the far end yelling on his way down. The rink was like church. There was nothing going on. It was amazing.
Yeah, they were definitely in shock. And you know what? That instruction from Al Arbor, no wonder why the man won 4 cups. And that's
like how simple, eh?
Yeah.
Like looking back at that, like how simple, right? Like he's like he can look at the lineup and go Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer. We could all see it. And he's like, could you play even with them for one shift?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I could do that. He wasn't asking me to be better than Ron Francis. He said, can you tie him? And I'm like, yeah, I think I could tie him this shift. And sometimes it's just your time as well. Yeah. Like the Canadiens won the Stanley Cup that year. I think they won 10 overtime games. That's impossible to do, except they did, right? Because it was their time.
John LeClair back-to-back in consecutive games in overtime. Eric Desjardins, a hat trick and an overtime winner.
Yeah.
Unreal.
It's not happening again. Doesn't have to happen again. They win the cup.
Well, Ray, thanks for coming on with us, Ray. And we still play men's league. So if I ever see Benny on the ice again, I'll make sure I try to give him a shot for you. I don't know if I'll succeed.
If you see him out there, tell him Ferraro says hit the net.
Just out of curiosity, do you still skate or play or try to play any sort of men's league ever, or?
No, nothing. What's funny? So my wife is Cami Granado, and so she's in the Hall of Fame. 2 of us don't skate, don't play hockey. Our kids play soccer. So like we don't play at all. And as a unfortunate consequence or bill to pay out of my career, last September I got a replacement left knee. And so I had 6 surgeries on it, and eventually it wasn't even a hinge; it was a wooden board. And so I got a chunk of metal in there, and it feels pretty good. But I do not play. Every time I do, I get on the ice. I go, "Wow, that was really fun," and then I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not doing it again."
Yeah, no, it's funny. A lot of guys stick around on Long Island here. I know Aaron Asham, plays, and guys like that. I see him all over. Yeah.
Oh. Well, it's an awesome place to live. Why wouldn't you stay if you could?
Yeah. No, we love it here. We love it here.
I loved being on the island. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah. I mean, you had Garden City in the summertime and go to the beaches, and but
so when I got traded there, all I knew of that place was the Nassau Coliseum.
Yeah.
Like literally, I didn't know. I'd never even heard of Garden City. Right? No idea.
Is there any memory of Nassau Coliseum that sticks out in your mind? Sorry, just one last question.
Yeah. It was. So when we were there, it was kind of a dump. It was our dump. It was old and it was so loud and the people were so invested. Like my memory is of that playoff series. So I scored the game winner in game 3 in overtime and game 4 in overtime against Washington. And Tommy Fitzgerald, the general manager in New Jersey now, he tackled me and we were on the bottom of the pile.
I remember.
And I'm not kidding, guys. I could feel the floor like kind of rumble. It was so loud.
Wow.
And that's my memory of the Coliseum. Like the people cared. They loved being in there. I went back for the Tavares return game when when the Leafs went back. It was wild in there. And I was between the benches and I'm like kind of keeping my head up in case something flew out of there and hit me on the coconut. And I thought, well, if it's going to hit somebody, it'll hit AJ Malesko first because she's taller than me. So I told her, I said, AJ, I'm hiding behind you here. There's no pride right now.
Man.
Hopefully we'll see you at UBS Arena. I'll be there a bunch.
Oh, it looks fantastic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it look amazing?
It
Yeah.
does.
I will get there for sure. I will be there for sure. It looks amazing. I want to go check it out.
All right. Well, hope to see you there, Rain. Thanks a lot for joining us. You were great. We really enjoyed it.
Seriously, thank you so much.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on again.
Thanks, guys. Sorry for the technical lack of know-how. We got it done, though.
Yeah, we did.
We got it done.
Yeah,
It only took like 11, 12 emails, but we got it done. So, all good.
Thanks
Thanks,
so
guys.
much.
Be well, and I hope your families have a great holiday and everybody's safe and healthy in your home.
You as
Likewise.
well.
Thank you.
Ray.
Thank you, guys. Peace.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you. All right. That's Ray Ferraro, and
Wow. What an awesome guy.
yeah, you know what? We're blessed to have a lot of these good interviews. As I try to look for my pen that I always hold to make sure that my fidgety hands aren't a problem, but I just dropped one.
I'd have to say that was arguably the best one we ever did.
That might be the best one we ever did. And you know what? I
think
never
so.
got to ask him about Travis Green either. Yeah, it's when Anthony usually says we'll get you out of this on this question. Yeah. I try to let it be on that one, but
I had to ask him about it because you know what? I was watching the series recap. There's a YouTube account, Canada Classic Sports, that has all the old NHL Network Classic Playoff series, and I was watching it, and I tell you, every time he was in a clip, you could see the look of determination and fire in his eyes when he either scored a goal or was a part of the play. And I had to ask him about it because you don't normally see that look from a lot of guys. And to me, that I liked Ray Ferraro as a Ranger. And I mean, you guys know that I loved ESPN's original crew with him on it. NHL Tonight, loved him on there. So,
he was an active player when he was doing that.
Yeah, and he was. And I love that. So for me, that was just awesome to be able to ask him about that, because I think that's one of those moments where you're just like, wow, you can tell that he wants this more than anything.
I completely didn't know he was married to Cami Granato.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah. So
hockey royalty right there.
Now, would you say the Granatos are probably the most famous American family in hockey?
American family, probably. I mean, as of right now, maybe the Mullins.
Yeah, if not the Mullins, maybe the Hughes as soon, if not now.
The Hughes will be, probably.
The Hughes will be. But I mean, yeah, the Hatchers can say something about that. But I mean, when you go through a legacy that goes between just different, and I don't want to use the term different sports, but from men's hockey to women's hockey, and you win the first ever gold medal in Nagano.
Not only that, but
you're a Hall of Famer.
When you think about it, and you go down the list of names of women's hockey all time, Cami is probably a top 3 name.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have.
You think of it, maybe Haley Wickenheiser is probably the only other name that you would probably put before her. But who else before Cami?
I agree.
Well, I mean, Hillary Knight's still going.
She's still going, but she's not there yet.
And not just because she's attractive. Give me a call. So
that was awesome. I could have asked about too. Remember his call on the Patrick Stefan missed empty net was great.
Oh, that's a good question to ask.
We get, yeah. Oh, Monique Lamoureux.
Yeah,
there's another one. But yeah. But I mean, and Brody, I got to say this as a Ranger fan. Like I said before, their biggest mistake in 96 was trading away both Rick Ferraro and, while we're at it, Matthias Nordstrom, because that deal did nothing. The only thing that deal did was open a spot for Wayne Gretzky to come the next year. That was it. So
Yari Curry didn't even stay, though.
Yeah, he didn't stay. He's had one goal.
Yeah, he wasn't good for them. He brought them down. Ray Ferraro would have actually helped them against Pittsburgh. Big time against Pittsburgh. They could have used him, and he played great with Kovalov.
And you know who would have really appreciated it? Luke Robitaille, who needed somebody to set him up instead of that. But we're sorry, guys. We went on a little bit extra recapping the Ray Ferraro interview, but you know what? That's what happens when you get, like I said before, former Ranger, former Islander, ESPN and TSN.
But you know what? He was willing to keep talking.
Yeah, no. Originally he said just 15 minutes. I'm like, yeah. So
yeah,
but part of it was him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
so
we can always tell him to come back on.
That's a great interview because he just kept giving us info, and I could sit there and listen to that guy talk for another 3 hours if he wanted to. I missed my damn hockey game if that meant.
The Benoit Hogue story was hilarious.
Oh, those are great. Those are great. And you know what? He's got to have a million stories from being on the Thrashers in their inaugural season and for a while with their. I mean, the Hartford Whalers of the late 80s. And there's so much that he probably could have given us, but that's why we got to have him on again. There we go. So, by the way, what'd you think of the Ray Ferraro interview? Throw it down in the comments below. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And again, just going to mention this before I move on to the Rangers, but we have our first ever bar meetup coming in Hicksville. The address is at the bottom, but don't worry, it's going to be posted in the community link. And we're going to do a broadcast there, and it's going to be before the Ranger Islander game. Lots of stuff, 50-50 raffle. We're giving raffling off or doing it in a pool, autographed jerseys. So check them all out. It's going to be a great time. We're going to go across the Hudson to the Rangers, who I can't believe we're in the B block today. But the Rangers won their 4th straight after beating the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Devils and the Montreal Canadiens this week. Right now, they're second in the NHL according to points, but they played more games than a lot of other teams. So, John, you asked this to Ray Ferraro, and we're going to get to PK Subban in a minute. That's a different story. But you asked this to Ray Ferraro. Are the Rangers as good as their record are? Are they just kind of escaping losses right now?
These last few games, Ray's right. They played better, and I've even said that on my good, bad, and uglies. Some of these other games have just been bad. I mean, the Seattle game, they escaped a loss. The previous Montreal game, I thought they sort of escaped the loss there too. The first period of last night's game was great. Arguably the best 20 minutes I've seen them play both ends of the rink. But after that, the second period was bad. It was brutal. They were lucky to be leading after the second period. Yeah, their goal differential is 0. And that's just, it's not good. It's not good at all. I mean, that just goes to show you their bottom. I think they're 3rd in high danger chances for, 3rd last. I'm sorry, in high danger chances for, and they're 4th worst in high danger chances against. So they're not getting enough chances, and they're still somehow converting. I really don't understand that, but I don't see that as sustainable. And then they're giving up a ton of high danger chances. And Ray also said that. And you gotta make sure that you're limiting the chances for and against. And secondary scoring has been a problem. But I mean, the last couple of games, Capo Caco's got 2 in 2 games. He's got 3 points in these last 2 games. He's played great defensively. Alexis Lafreniere got a goal. Julien Gauthier had a great goal last
That was a great goal.
Really was. And that's the type of goal that he needed. A hard work, high skill play to go in and finally go his way. You saw the look on his face when he scored. But I mean, again, a lot of the comments here, I mean, I saw Brody's, I see Lou's here. The teams go through the neutral zone with ease, and Lou's right about that. But you know what? Listen, I'm not going to tell anybody to not be happy about these wins, but be cognizant that there are some major issues that need to be fixed. I was actually with you on this, Michael, that I thought that Miller needed to be sent down. But I mean, the last few games, he's actually played well. He's played better. Jacob Trouba hasn't been as bad. Patrick Nemeth still needs to be fired into the sun via a cannon. But that's not saying a lot because, again, the only skater that's really worse in the NHL right now than Patrick Nemeth is Zdeno Chara, maybe even Andy Green. But I think I'd rather have Andy Green than Patrick Nemeth at this point. So
I'd rather have a Cohen than Patrick Nemeth.
yeah, I would rather really have a traffic cone.
While we're on the Patrick Nemeth, he almost killed Igor Shesterkin Saturday night in Columbus.
What are you
doing shoving him into the goalie?
Stop doing this. Hasn't anybody learned from what Charlie McAvoy did to Filipino a couple of years ago when he sent him into Tuukka Rask after he scored that goal?
No, they're never going to learn that
learns.
lesson. They're just going to think hit the guy, not where you're hitting him. Because by the way, as a forward in that situation, as soon as I feel the resistance on my back, I'm just letting gravity take over, which is exactly what I forgot who the Columbus forward did it. But he was like he got launched into the sun, and the sun was Igor Shesterkin.
You can't do that. You really can't do that. Like I said, Chris Kreider, I know the president of the fan club just wants to give him that nice pat on the back. Go ahead, Barry Horowitz. Do it.
All right.
Well, the Barry Horowitz reference for all you wrestling fans.
All right. Well, you know what? We're going to save the Chris Kreider for about 2 minutes from now. First, me and Anthony are just going to give our thoughts, and then we still got to cover the controversy with PK. But right now, they're still lacking a little bit of chemistry. You got it with Kreider and Zibanejad. You got it with Panarin and Strome. You have it with Fox and Lindgren. You still really don't have it between Miller and Trouba, even though they're the second best defensive pairing. It's definitely not there with Lundqvist and Nemeth. By the way, they're both Swedish, so I'm surprised that that's not working. So then you have the third unit, which actually looks pretty good. Lafreniere, Hedl, and Gauthier. So now you still have that spot that's on the top line that you need to fill, especially if you move Barclay Goodrow down. But right now, Goudreau's there. That's what it is. Kakko looks like he's starting to come alive and get some confidence. And the fourth line is just right now, the fourth line has been arguably their second best line. It's a little bit arguably, but yes, still.
Consistency wise, they've been the most consistent one, I would say. Right.
So that's where they need to be more consistent as a team. And they won the shots on goal, I think, the last 2 games. They didn't do it the game before. But, just keep the high danger chances to the outside. They did it very well versus Vancouver. They did it versus, for the most part, in Edmonton for about 40 minutes. And then the last 20 minutes, they were getting hammered. So, Anthony, your thoughts before we go on to PK?
There's no arguing with the record. They're banking the early points, but what John says, there are stuff that they have to clean up. I think at this point they've proved obviously that they have skill. It's just usually, it's not always the case, but usually when there's a team that has a good record, but the goal differential maybe says otherwise, or usually catches up to you over the course of a full season. It's rare when it doesn't. But listen, the Rangers have an elite defenseman, Adam Fox. Chris Kreider scoring goals for him. Even though Panarin hasn't been like electrifying, his PPG is still good. So they have a lot of pieces in place that are working for him. Kakko's looked a little better, so that's good. But I would say my biggest critique though is him and Lafreniere. Obviously, you're left wanting more from them. But overall, listen, they're in first place in the Metro Division. We'll see if some things balance out over the course of the season. But at this point, I think you could say there's no reason why you could say that they won't make the playoffs. I think they definitely be a playoff team. But other teams are also gonna pick it up. Some teams maybe like Columbus will drop back, in New Jersey. I think New Jersey, while better than last year, I still think they're ultimately gonna fall a little bit.
More on the Devils in a minute.
Yeah, and then you have teams like the Islanders. Obviously, they haven't even played a home game yet, for Christ's sake. So they're going to get better. So it's a long season. The Metropolitan Division is absolutely ridiculous. But I think there's no doubting the Rangers are a good team. They are. It's just going to be a matter of are they going to keep playing as what their record shows, or will they regress a little bit, to the mean of some of these underlying issues they have to clean up?
Yeah.
And Filk.
I'll just make a quick reference here because I was looking at something that Hockey Statminer was posting. Posted a couple of things. The first thing that I was looking at was through November 12th, the Rangers were 31st out of 32 in shooting percentage for and expected goals for, and then they were last in scoring chances for and high danger chances for. And then since November 12th, they're 7th in shooting percentage for, and then 11th in expected goals for, 15th in scoring chances for percentage, and then 13th in high danger chances. So they did improve on those two things. The other one was something that he posted last night. At 10-3-3, they've earned 23 points in their opening 16 games. Teams that earn greater than 22 or more points in their first 16 games have made the playoffs 91% of the time in the salary cap era, excluding the shortened seasons. So those are some pretty good numbers for positivity for Ranger fans.
Well, also, like they say, American Thanksgiving is sort of the line where you just say those teams are making the playoffs, and then that's it. So that's why the man whose team is down in the lower box really needs to pick it up. And I would say you might be an Islander fan, but now you're an Islander pundit. So you just got to – so it's a little bit of both. You're covering the team too now, so it's not just that. But we got to move on to this. And trigger warning for anybody that might want to break their TV when they see this. So we were talking about it with Ray Ferraro, and I wasn't trying to say him by name, but PK Subban, either way you want to say it, because we all know that there's Paul Bissonnette who said that's not a slew foot. It basically is the same freaking thing anyway. To do that where you're doing that at that point of the ice, you're basically trying to end the guy's season. Is there any other? And at first, I didn't kill PK on this. Sunday night, I saw it. I went, I think he's turning. I looked at that again, and you do see his foot come out.
Here's the problem. What, other than a remedial level skater who really doesn't know how to stop, who the hell swings their foot when they're trying to stop like that? Ooh. Who? Like, and if you watch it again, his left leg is what he leads in with it, and then he swings his right run around, and that's what connects with Blaze's foot. Like, I mean, I understand that people have made fun of his training videos where he does the agility drills and he does the mohawks and the side-to-side skating and stuff like that. You can't go posting all these videos and do all these drills and tell me that you're an inept skater. Either this is something that you're aware of and you don't do it, so I mean you don't make an effort to stop it, so you're complicit, or you're just a straight up dirtbag. And either way, it's bad.
Anthony, you had this topic in our chat a couple weeks ago on Bar Talk. Go.
I remember, I go back to when he did it to Reeves in the preseason. I remember saying like, he was concerned for him after it happened and it looked like it was a complete accident. But then like the next couple of times he did it, he did it to Zegras, he did it to Lucic. It's just when it happens that many times, then you have to say to yourself, okay, well, clearly it's on purpose. And, it's not a good look for him, because it's a dangerous play, and also puts a target on his back. Eventually someone's going to go after him. It's only a matter of time. But the unfortunate part about it is like PK Subban, the person, like he's great. He's a great personality in the media. He's, we've seen what he did in Montreal, donated $10 million to a children's hospital in Montreal. Yeah,
I think it was even 20.
He had the Blue Line Buddies thing in Nashville. So clearly he's a good kind-hearted person. Like you wouldn't think he want you. You know, it just doesn't make. It doesn't add up. How do you do that?
And again, by the way, going even further, that's what's even more frustrating with this.
Yeah.
I was about to say that myself.
Like this
and
isn't
never
Tom
mind
Wilson that's going around and doing the penalty box like a friggin' jackass after he tries to end someone's life by slamming his head into the ice.
Like PK, when he is done, is going to glide into a broadcast studio and be sensational. And I don't mean to even say that without hyperbole.
He's already done some of it.
Yeah, he did an NHL like late night show. So I mean, and then you're seeing him and you're going, dude, what are you doing? It's just like, and you think about other videos that he's got, like when he was the bus driver as an old man, and then turn around to the kids and going, "Oh, I guess I'll play with you." And the kids are jumping up and down as he's starting to take off the makeup, going, "It's Subban, it's Subban. I knew it was Subban." I mean, he's gonna be great. It's just leave this shit out. Don't do this.
It seems like it's like a bad habit that developed in his game, and he kind of just like subconsciously does it now. I mean, because I don't understand why he keep doing it.
Because right now the Rangers have to try to replace Sammy Blais, who, like it or not, guys, was one of the key parts of their offseason because they traded Pavel Buchnevich for him. And also during that game, I had to see some of the Ranger Twitter.
Worried about that.
Yeah.
But Sammy Blais played very well for them.
Yeah.
He's been better than anyone could have expected. And listen, he shouldn't have been on the first line. That's the other part of the offseason. But you're right. Now you have to replace him. Do you call up Lauri Pajaniemi? Do you go get Phil Kessel? Do you see if Dallas starts to fall out of it and call them about Alex Radulov?
Do you hope that everything stays the same up until March when you could probably get Kravtsov over here? There's so many questions.
Or that. I mean, I don't know if the Rangers really want to go spend assets on players like Kessel or Radulov, or do they go and make the big splash and go get Philip Forsberg? I don't know if they can do that and realistically bring him back with the contracts that they have to give out, and then Adam Fox's extension going in.
They wouldn't be able to.
I don't think they would.
But there was a little bit extra news. We're just going to spend about 2 minutes on this. One of them is going to make Filk's eyes roll, but it's all for the president of the Chris Kreider fan club right here. He had his 12th goal of the season last night. That puts him second in the NHL. Do you know who's the only person ahead of him?
Well, he's tied for second.
Well, he's tied for second, but
Leon
ahead of him.
Leon Draisaitl.
Leon Draisaitl. And that's Leon Draisaitl, man. So the way Chris Kreider is playing, is it time to just make Chris Kreider the captain?
No.
Okay.
No, absolutely not. I want to see more from the other players in this team. I want to see more consistency on a game-to-game. And I love what I've seen from Chris Kreider in the last few games. I think it's been his best hockey overall as a Ranger. He's been a force away from the puck. Even when he hasn't been scoring, he's made good plays with the puck. He's made smart decisions. He's been tough on the forecheck. He's caused turnovers. This is what Chris Kreider needs to be on a nightly basis because the goals aren't always going to come. So if this part of his game is not there when the goals are not coming, he's useless. I want to see more of this on a nightly basis for a very long, extended period of time before I say, okay, name him captain.
And by the way, teams have named people captain midseason. Anthony?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on Filk's boat, I should say. Let's see for an extended period of time, and then not only that, but just because a guy scores and produces, doesn't necessarily mean they should have a C slapped on him. It's the other areas of the game that really matter when it comes to being a captain. So,
I think he's a little bit more of the heartbeat of the team when he's going. This team is really going. He's the one that shares their emotions. He's not as emotional and as emotionally connected as Callahan was back 10 years ago, but
no,
you know what? Try to be Ryan Callahan. Go ahead, Phil.
I do. Listen, I'm not going to tell you that there's no leadership qualities in him because I do see them. but I want someone that can not just be a vocal guy in the locker room and an emotional guy in the locker room, but he takes charge and leads by example on the ice. And again, that doesn't mean the top scorer. Not every captain is the top scorer. Jeff Odgers was the captain of the Atlanta Thrashers. Was he a scorer? No, he was a face puncher.
Who's the captain of the Colorado Avalanche?
Right now?
Yeah.
Right now is Landeskog. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not Nate
so
McKinnon.
It's not the best player or the top scorer that's a captain, but it's got to be someone that's got to lead by example. And if Chris Kreider can consistently be that guy that leads by example and brings it every damn game, then you know what? I'll shut the hell up and you serve me that crow on that hot plate, and I'll eat it.
See, I was also trying to think about what to make a bet with you about if Kreider scores 30 goals, that you'd have to shave your head or something, but you've already done that.
I've already done that.
Yeah.
That's
so it's me shaving my head is a little bit more drastic.
Yeah, I was about to say. That'd be interesting.
Pivoting to the other Chris Kreider question, and the Chris Kreider question that involves Kelly Kissio. That involves the team. There's one team all three of us root for, especially in February. But can Chris Kreider be on Team USA?
Wow, that's a tough one. If he, I'll reference this. Back in 2013-14, we all remember how during the hurdle game, Rick Nash got elbowed straight in the head by Brad Stewart. Nothing happened from it. He missed some time. But he came back, storming back with a vengeance. And he had a stretch in which he scored 11 goals in 11 games leading up to that Olympic break. And Mike Babcock selected him for Team Canada. And that basically got him that. So if Chris Kreider can continue this, and let's just say by the time the Olympic break comes around, he's got, 20, 25 goals, something like that. And he looks like he's on pace for 35, 40 goals. Maybe at that point. But there's a lot of depth. You got to think about the wingers that they have. Both Kachucks. Mm-hmm. They look like they're guys. But again, this is going to be on a bigger ice surface. Chris Kreider can cover a lot of ground with his speed. And he can protect the puck well while doing so. So I definitely say if this was bar talk, I would say beer.
Anthony.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can make Team USA. I mean, if instead of the Ken, it said that Chris Kreider will make Team USA. I mean, that's a little different, but sure, he can make it. We already referenced what their center depth looks like, but you got to really consider or think about it. How many wings can be more useful than him on the team? I mean, Alex DeBrincat's going to be on the team, for sure. That you have the Kachucks, Patty Kane's obviously definitely going to be there, even though he's older.
Anthony, I'm glad you listed him off. Anders Lee.
He's another guy that you throw in that category that's been talked about. I'm sure, the list never came out, but each country had to submit like a 50 player list of guys they, are going to be considering. And I'm sure Lee and Kreider are on that 50 player list. I definitely wouldn't. I don't envy the guy that has to pare that down because that's all tough decisions. But Team USA, I think they're stronger on the wing than they are at center ice right now. Joe Pavelski.
That's 100%. The Team USA. And you know what? Again, he's gotten that Jack Eichel trade done earlier.
He's getting older. Pavelski is. I don't know if he's. I don't necessarily think he's a lock to be on the team. Stretch your imagination. Blake Wheeler. Blake
Wheeler. Everybody forgets about Blake Wheeler.
He could play wing or center. I would say this though with Pavelski. What's that?
Kyle Connor's definitely going to be there.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Kyle Connor definitely making that team.
Yeah.
But I mean, Pavelski, the thing with him is that sometimes a lot of these Olympic teams they pick based on name value. And you know what? Look at Seth Jones. I know there was a little more of nepotism to that one because of who was Team USA's general manager, who we will not name, just because I don't want to give him any type of airtime. But sometimes these names get picked, and they just get picked because of their name. I think Pavelski will get picked partially because of his name. I still think he's a decent player. I don't think he's the player he was last year or 2 years ago or anything like that. But yeah, I think Pavelski will probably end up being on that team.
I just pulled up like a mock roster. Cam Atkinson, Johnny Gaudreau,
yeah,
Brady Tkachuk, Alex Tuck.
I wouldn't go Tuck.
JVR.
Maybe as like a fourth line center. But the Rangers have been in this situation before. 2002, Mike York played his way onto Team USA.
Yeah,
I mean,
he did.
He was only on the fourth line, but still, he was still there. But all right, guys. So we're going to move on to the bar talk, but we want to know what you think. Are the Rangers for real, or are they just kind of winning with smoke and mirrors right now? But can they get better, or is it going to be getting worse? PK Subban, and the bad news with Sammy Blais. Do you think that Subban tripped him up intentionally? And also Chris Kreider, should he be captain or can he make Team USA? Throw it all down in the comments below, guys. Like, share, and subscribe, of course. Max Pacioretty, we didn't mention.
Good
you know
one,
what the great thing is? We're now in an age where American guys getting cut is gonna make headlines, and
that's good.
Like 2014 when Keith Yandel was off the list, I was surprised, and that was like number 4. I mean, Bobby Ryan also was down on there too. But we're moving on to the bar talk segment.
I'm gonna take a shot on this one.
I'm gonna say beer. I'm buying everybody around on this. Oh my god!
So welcome back.
Yeah. By the way, if anybody didn't watch that intro and didn't see Slim, that's up there in the top right, that you said 60 pounds you lost, John?
No, not 60. About 45.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was 60, but then every time you say the number, I get more surprised. But welcome back to the Big Apple Hockey Bar Talk segment, where we gauge our confidence on NHL topics. Are you not really that confident? You just want a shot? Or are you a little bit? You just want a beer, so? Or are you so confident you're buying everybody around? So we're going to start off with our first topic, and I'm going to start this one off, boys. Alexander Georgiev is not a 1B, or you know what? And again, I'm starting it off. I'm getting up there. I'm buying everybody around on this. He's not. Alexander Georgiev is a backup. That's it. The Rangers could have sold high on him 2 to 3 years ago and maybe gotten, I mean, there was the rumors about Kevin LeBanc. We were all saying it, and it was all over the place. It ended up not being true, and apparently that was a farce to begin with. But no, Alexander Georgiev, he's off at his angle sometimes. He loses confidence, and it's just he's just not he's not a number one. He's not even in Shesterkin's state, let alone neighborhood. So I'll turn it over to you, John.
If anyone says anything other than buying around, I'm going to have you Baker acted. And if you're not sure what that means I call the police and I have you instituted because you're insane for thinking otherwise. I'm sorry, but it's facts. This guy is not a 1B. This isn't a Richter Van Beesbrook 91, 92, 93 situation where the two of them look like they're vying for the starting job. No.
He's closer to Ole Pavlik than he is to Cam Talbot or Antti Ranta.
No, yeah, this shouldn't have. Quinn messed up everything with the goaltending carousel last year. You said that so many times. I agreed with you so many times. No. But you know what? I will say that he played better in his most recent start, which is a big improvement over the Edmonton start. So if he can play more like he played in his last start, he'll be an okay backup for us, and that's all we need him to be.
Anthony.
I mean, it's round. I mean, the guy's
okay, we don't have to have you Baker acted. Good.
I was going to say, Anthony's not getting committed.
The guy has a 3.77 goals against average and an 870 save percentage. Those aren't numbers of a 1B goalie.
Those are barely NHL numbers.
Exactly. He's a backup, and he should play sparingly.
Yeah, it's just, and then occasionally, then I get in the conversation with guys, and they go, "Oh no, you're completely slamming him." No,
No,
I'm not. So
no,
many times he's off on an angle.
no. Just
It's like I want to kill him on the Dougie Hamilton goal Sunday night, where he just walked in, just went bar down, and that was it. That's not the one I would kill him on. The Jesper Bratt breakaway where he's still standing. Every forward, when they get in the Jesper Bratt's position, just goes 5-hole and says, "Thank you very much."
well, that's why I asked the question in the good, bad, and ugly. What's bigger, the Grand Canyon or Georgiev's 5-hole?
Yeah. Well,
Answer? Anybody?
I said it's actually Georgiev's 5-hole. All right. Moving to the Islanders. The Islanders are going to have to add a scorer and a defenseman by the trade deadline, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
I'm gonna go round here just because I think that the need for a defenseman is just that strong. As much as the scoring isn't there right now, I think it's a product of their overall play. When they're getting it taken to them every night, their offense is going to be anemic because they don't have the puck. Sure, they need to add more scoring, but the defense is much more imperative. And I think it has to happen sooner than that. I mean, Pollock's out 4 to 6 weeks. As it is, you needed a defenseman before he went down. And it just becomes a matter of who's out there for Lou Lamoriello to get right now. It's still relatively early. The teams that are going to sell probably don't want to do it yet. So that just means he's going to have to pay a higher price. I mean, I never really was high on Gostisbehere defensively, but Gostisbehere, if you look at his point total on a really, really bad Coyotes team, he's putting up points. So $4.5 million. I think he's got another 2 years left. I mean, if that's like the best that Lou could do, I mean, I would do it. I just don't know. I mean, he shouldn't even cost that much either. I mean, $4.5 million Arizona just. So I think he's a possibility, but Hampus Lindholm's not going anywhere anymore. I mean, no. Anaheim's humming. Obviously, Mattias Ekholm re-signed. So I don't really know who else is out there. Again, I referenced it before. I mean, we're not having discussions. I mean, who knows? It could be a guy Lou wants that we didn't even know was available, and he pounces on it early, pays a higher price. But they definitely have to do something to help shore up this defense.
Before I have Filk answer that question, you keep saying, you've said it before, and I wanted to say this again. Lou might pay a higher price. Can you name any of the players he traded for Ilya Kovalchuk?
Patrice Cormier.
Okay, wow.
Nicholas Bergfors.
2.
Johnny Oduya.
And I think the last one was a draft pick.
Yeah, first round
Lou
pick.
does not overpay. That was not. You might have went. That's an overpay because Bergfors was scoring back then, but not now.
I never thought of Bergfors as that type of prospect. I thought he was an okay one, but not.
Yeah, he was okay. That was about it. Lou doesn't overpay, even when he overpays. Filk.
Yeah, this is going to be around for me. You gotta. Like I've said before, the lack of secondary scoring is really alarming, considering when you looked at the team and you thought about the depth that they had. And I said that losing Eberle was going to hurt them.
Yeah,
and I didn't think it would hurt them like this, but it has. And the defense, like I said, that was my biggest question about this team heading into the season when I did the season preview. And they need somebody, and now they need it even more. I mean, Sam Girard looks like he's out of their price range, looks too rich for their blood, because if what's been reported, their ask for Sam Girard is to be the case, then that's Anthony Beauvillier. And with the Islanders scoring issues, they really can't afford to give him up right now. And he's not even playing as well as he should. So they need to do something. They need to do it quick. I would try to pull the Jim Rutherford special if I was Lou and get it well before the deadline. So this way that the prices aren't astronomical like they could be. But yeah, this is a round.
Well,
we're going to make it a clean sweep again, guys. It's another round. And I really do like this one better, even though it looks like I'm crushing your head, Anthony. But it's just I'm going to throw up another stat, and because they're going to need a defenseman, they're going to need a scorer. This is what's alarming. The Islanders have 4 power play goals this season.
Ooh.
4. That's not good. I was supposed to look up how many players have 4 power play goals.
I was going to say before the last couple of games, the Rangers probably had maybe 1 or 2 more even strength goals, and the Islanders had power play goals. So we could trade issues there and commiserate.
And yes, the Rangers have to fix their even strength woes, and I still have full faith in Gallant. It's hard to have a power play when, I mean, I don't know. Like, is the personnel right? Is their philosophy for the power play right? Did they give up on Gustafsson too quickly? Even though I still think, what the hell has he done in this league? I don't know. It's something that
Chicago even waived him.
Yeah, it's something that it's going to be a good question. I don't know if they have the assets to get both. So
I think if you picture Lou's face right now, it's like a cartoon. He's got his face is red, and he's got steam coming out of his ears.
Yeah,
I think he's I know he's coined as a patient man, but in this situation, I I don't think he's very happy, and I don't think he's going to wait. I don't think he's going to wait around.
Going from Lou's current team to Lou's former team, the Devils will contend for a playoff spot all season. And John, you started off.
They're playing well, considering the fact that they don't have Jack Hughes in their lineup. And I've said that Jack Hughes looked to be poised to be one of the big breakout players in the NHL this season. I really do believe that whenever he gets back and gets healthy, he's going to start playing very well. Dougie Hamilton's obviously made an impact on this team. He's helped them be more competitive than we could have imagined. Their goaltending it's decent. It's not bad. It's not great. It's helping keep them in games. But I think at a certain point, you're going to start to see them fall off a bit, even though Hughes is going to come back. So I think for most of the season, they'll be in it, but there's going to get to be a certain point where I think maybe by shortly after the deadline where I think they're kind of out of it. So I'm going to say beer here.
All right, Anthony.
Beer as well. Like I said, they're not. I think there's no doubt. I think it's really evident by now. They're definitely not going to be as bad as they were last year. They're a much more competitive team. They got more skill. I mean, Dawson Mercer he's opened the eyes. He's been a pretty good rookie for them this season. Obviously, they added Hamilton, Tatar. So they're definitely a more skilled team. But I just think the Metro's too good. And then even other teams in the Atlantic are competing right now. So they'll hang in there, but I don't think it's going to be a thing where like last week of the season they could, they're still right there fighting for a spot. So I'll go beer.
I mean, who knows? Subban might trip somebody, break their ankle, and then that might fire up the team to just start fighting the Devils. I want to say buy around. I'm going to go with a beer. This was mine. I've been high on the Devils all year. I'm high on Mackenzie Blackwood, but no, there's too many good teams in the Metro. We haven't even mentioned the Flyers yet, and the Flyers just got back Kevin Hayes last night, or this week, I should say. He got his first goal last night. And congratulations, Kevin Hayes, getting your first goal of the year and pointing up for your brother. It's just I could see the Devils hanging around a lot longer than what people think they're going to be. But if I see them eventually falling off, it's got to be a beer. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But speaking about Rangers and Devils, this shootout is still exciting. Anthony.
I mean, I know a lot of people have gotten bored of it. They don't like it anymore. I'll go beer. It definitely has its moments where it could definitely be exciting. A guy pulls off a ridiculous move, or goalies are having a duel, saving it, and it's going in later rounds, making an edgier seat. That makes it exciting. But ultimately, I still hate when like there's a really good hockey game being played, and and has to end in a skills competition. But that's a separate topic. But I can't help but to lump it in it just because it affects the actual act of the shootout for me. But it has its exciting moments. So, but then sometimes you still have ones that go, where the short team scores on its first two shots, the other goalie makes a save, and it's over before you know it, and it was just kind of meh. So it's a beer for me.
Filk.
Yeah, I'm going with beer as well because there are times where it can be exciting. I would much rather see continuous overtime though. I would ask if you have a pulse if you're going to tell me that the shootout was more exciting than that Rangers and Leafs overtime or the overtime that the Rangers had against even the Devils. It was a crazy exciting overtime game. And I would disagree with this, David. And that's not a skills competition. That's more hockey than the shootout is. The shootout is a legitimate skills competition. So, and Rich, no way, we're not bringing them back.
No.
Bobby Granger cut JD's tie.
Yeah,
and yeah, that was it. So no more ties, buddy.
Yeah, you know something? I'm one of the people that even when I moderately got bored of the shootout, I still thought it was good. It is. I'm buying. The shootout's still exciting. And when you get to the 7th round of the shootout, you got your shootout specialist going. Why Kevin Rooney went before Chris Kreider, I have no idea. But like I saw Kreider go on net and him deking, going to the backhand and putting it in was almost as exciting to me as Merrick Malik's between the legs, because it's sort of like, oh, Kreider just deked. He never dekes. So, especially not going near side on a guy. If he wants to go far side, he'll deke.
I'll give you an idea that could, like an idea that could make the shootout more exciting. Go to the IIHF rules, where you have 3 guys go, and after those 3 guys, you could repeat any guy that you want at that point.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like it too. It's funny because hockey can actually experiment with their sport, and you get another sport. Say, for instance, I'm a baseball traditionalist. Like the National League getting the DH is making me.
That's been long overdue. Needed. I don't need to see a pitcher hit.
And yeah, guess what? You pick up a glove, you pick up a bat, because they didn't want to give David Ortiz the MVP in 2004.
Okay, so then don't cry when your ace pitcher tears his UCL taking a swing.
First off, most times the pitcher is the best athlete on a team. But let's get back to hockey for a second. It's just hockey can experiment with their other stuff, but yeah. All right, so we're gonna go around the NHL right now, and we're gonna start with the Washington Capitals. He's cracking our list almost every week as much as Connor McDavid. More on him in a second, but Alexander Ovechkin will crack 100 points for the first time in 12 years. John, go ahead.
Didn't have it last night, but I can see this happening. I'm gonna say beer. I think he's scoring at like a 140 point pace right now. The last I did the numbers last night, it was 26 points he had in like what was it? Or 23 points in 12 games, I think it was, or something like that. And it was, like I said, it was on pace for 140 points. And I honestly, that's not sustainable. He's not going to do that. But I could see this. So I am going to say beer. It's the stretch of games coming up. And Ray Ferraro brought up a great point earlier. A lot of the old guys tend to wear out quicker. But Alexander Ovechkin kind of seems to defy time a bit here. I mean, he looks to be on pace to be to be the oldest player ever to score 50 goals in a season. So would we really put it out of the question for him to crack 100 points? I'm going to say it's possible. I just don't know for sure. So I am going to say beer.
Anthony.
I'm going to be bold here and say round.
There we go.
I think, because in like previous years, he's not getting all his points just from scoring. He's getting the assists too. And for him, that really hasn't happened since his days of when he was a 100-point player. And I think the contributing factor for me is that the goals are going to still keep coming, and that's I don't really think that's a question. But again, it's the production getting the assist for me that's making me say round here. And frankly, I'm rooting for it. I would love to see Ovechkin at 36 turn back the clock and hit the century mark. Filk knows he's been one of my favorite players since he came to the league. So, I'm rooting for him to do it. And
I was going to say the OV guy doesn't buy around.
He's kind of making it hard for me to doubt him right now with how he's playing. So, round, and like I said, I really hope he does it.
Yeah. And by the way, I started rooting for him ever since he told Lundqvist in 2015, "I'm rooting for you to win the Stanley Cup." So it's kind of like that. I'll go on beer. And the reason why only is because his age and because he hasn't exactly been a pass first player, but he's doing everything right now. He's playing defense better and also passing the puck a little bit more and getting assists. And he still has that rifle.
Still almost a goal per game.
He's got that rifle of a shot.
Oh,
He just whips that puck. It is just scary. So there you go, right there. With Darcy Kemper settling in, Colorado is about to surge, and I'm going to buy everybody around on this because with Nate McKinnon out, Kemper in his last 4 games, here he is right here, 3-1, 8 goals against. He's got a .946 save percentage, and he's keep that on. They're going to focus on defense first and try to get that all corrected. They've got Vancouver tonight, Seattle, and then Ottawa, pending they don't have COVID still on Monday. Colorado's got to get it turned around. You get it turned around in your defensive end first. And if your goalie's playing well, that's the best way to start it. Anthony.
I'm going to go beer.
Okay.
They at one point, I think they were 4-5-1. They turned that into 6-5-1. So good on them. Also gives me hope for my Islanders. You can turn it around in one game.
I was just about to correlate it to the
Islanders. McKinnon. I think the contributing factor here is McKinnon being out. I think if he was playing, obviously for me, it'd be around. Kemper is playing really good, but I mean, you're still missing your best player. I will say, I think their days of really struggling are behind them. But I don't know about a surge though. Surge, kind of insinuates that they're just going to go on a tear. Could be like where they're like 8-1 in their next 9. That I'm not sure about. So I'm going to go beer. But at the end of the day, I think Colorado is going to be one of the 2 teams left standing in the Western Conference Finals.
Filk.
I know McKinnon's out right now. I don't know what the time frame is on him coming back, but just looking at their what's that?
I think it was 4 to 6 weeks a few weeks ago.
Okay, so he should be back in the next couple of weeks. Then that's going to be a big boost. Mikko Rantanen isn't really playing the best hockey that he could be playing right now. He's just under a point per game. That you got to imagine once McKinnon gets back, that's going to help him out. Can Nazem Kadri continue at at an over point per game pace? I don't think so. JT Compher has 9 points in 12 games. That's kind of nuts if you ask me. Andre Burakovsky, 4 goals, 8 points, 11 games. That's pretty good. Bowen Byram's got 8 points on 11 games. I think he get injured?
Yeah, I think he did.
So, I mean, if he's not out for long, that could help. But I'm only going to say beer because there are just a lot of things that I'm looking at this roster with that I'm saying, is that really sustainable? Is that going to change? I'm not sure if surge, but I think they will consistently play better, and I do think that they're done struggling. So I'm going to say beer.
Yeah, Bowen Byram, he's in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
I don't. That's not good for them. I mean, if he can come back and play the way he did beforehand, then that'll go a long, long way for them. But I mean, that's going to at least quiet the Sam Girard trade talk for a bit.
Filk, I am going to throw this one at you. Slewfoots need to be automatic suspensions regardless of the outcome.
Buying everybody around. This enough is enough with this stuff. And I don't know if you guys remember it, but back in 2011, the 2010-11 season, the Rangers and Pittsburgh played a back-to-back. I believe it was a Tuesday and Thursday set, and it was a home and home, and Sidney Crosby slew-footed both Ryan Callahan and Brandon Dubinsky in back-to-back games.
Yep.
And it's the most dangerous play in hockey. I mean, you saw what happened when Joe Pavelski was accidentally tripped and his helmet came off and he basically cracked his head open on the ice. Like, that's a dangerous, dangerous play. And it's even worse when you're actually trying to do it to somebody. So the NHL needs to step up. And I've said this across the board with player safety and suspensions on dirty plays. They need to be tougher. You need to really start hitting these players where it hurts and sending a message. The little slaps on the wrist like this aren't going to help anything. They're not going to. So go and start sending a message to players like PK Subban, who goes around and just kicks people's feet out because, you know, all you're going to do is give him, what, a $10,000 fine? He donated $10 million to a children's hospital. That's nothing. It's chump change. It's stupid. You're not sending a message by doing that. Go hit him where it hurts.
Taking away playing time also helps.
Yes.
Anthony.
See, the tricky thing for me here is if it was accidental, because I mean, like the first slew foot that Subban had on Reeves, that one almost looked like it was accidental.
That's not even the first one in his career, though. Andrew.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying, in case of a separate player, accidentally does it, his foot comes up or they get tangled. How are you going to differentiate what was
I get that.
What was intentional and what wasn't? That's where it becomes a little dicey. But I mean, if it's somehow clear as day that it was 100% intentional, I'm going to say around for sure. It's a very dangerous play for me. The only thing more dangerous is how, like, when Jarkko Ruutu stepped on the back of Erik Karlsson's leg, and
Matt Cook.
Matt Cook. They're both scummers. I got them confused.
Yeah.
Jarkko Ruutu did that to Jaromir Jagr, though.
No,
yes.
he didn't do that to Jagr.
No. Who was the one he stepped on their skate? Because Jarkko Ruutu did that too.
Yeah,
Jarkko.
Yeah, the guy was on the ice already, I believe, and he stepped up.
Yes.
I don't know who it was.
Yeah. Or James Neal kneeing Brad Marchand in the head.
But yes. But for me, that's the one play that's just as dangerous, and I have no tolerance for it. And like Filk said, you kick the guy's leg out. You could fall backward and hit your head on the ice. You could fall and twist your knee like Sammy Blais and tear an ACL. It's just no place for it in the game. So if it's evident that it was intentional, I'm going to say round, no question.
Okay. That's actually a good way of putting it, because I'm going to go back to beer, because I'm going to go with the exact thing you said. You need to know where the intent is. You need to be clear. If they're repeat offenders, they need to be fined multiple times. There's two things that the sport needs to get rid of. They need to get rid of slew foots. They need to get rid of diving.
It's good that you bring that up, though, Mark, because even if it's like in the case of Subban, let's just say it's just something that he does out of habit. He's not intentionally trying to do it, but it continues to happen and he does nothing to correct it. Then at that point, there's still got to be a suspension.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like Matt Cook used to elbow everybody in the face. Lee got rid of that. So it's just that simple as far as that goes. You have to address the problems. You got to get rid of their playing time. And you also got to make sure the teams are hurt on the ice from this. I mean, you're responsible for your own stick. Yes, you should also be responsible for your feet too. Because it's just that simple. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one.
That's another one. And yes, Crosby, that incident, I can't believe I actually didn't have that on the rundown, but I didn't. Because this stat just completely blew my mind. Do you know who's 203rd in the league in penalties drawn? Connor McDavid. How is that even possible? So that brings up this stat, this question, and you're going to be surprised by my answer. The referees are not calling enough penalties for Connor McDavid Anthony, I'm going to go to you first.
I can tell you I can tell you how it can happen because he's so goddamn fast that players can't even touch him to make an infraction to call penalty on him. But I mean, as far as the question goes, I'm all for letting the skilled players play. I think it needs to be done, but at the same time, I don't want him being treated in another situation where someone goes by him and breathes on him, and the referee puts his arm up. I would hate to see that.
Yeah.
I'll put it simply: if a player commits a foul on him, and it's obvious, you got to call penalty. But the referees are probably also understanding that the guy is so talented that players have to do something to try to contain him. So if it's just a little bit suspect, they're probably letting it go because I mean, at that point, literally every time someone goes near him, they're going to have to call a penalty and put their arm up because I don't see any way around that.
Yeah.
So for me. I'm actually going to go shot here. Unless he's getting absolutely mugged, I don't see how else they can handle this any better.
I got to make that guy bigger. Filk.
I'm going to go with a beer. The only reason why is that's an alarming number, just because of how good Connor McDavid is. And I try to watch Connor McDavid on a nightly basis. I watch a lot of Oilers games because he's my favorite non-Ranger in the league, hands down. But
Matthew Brody.
The analogy I'll make is he's like the guy he's the ringer that shows up in a men's league game that should be playing 3 to 4 divisions higher than he should be playing in a lower division and absolutely skates around the guys. And the refs know it, so they don't want to make a ton of calls and have him be the guy that, the other team breathes on, like Anthony said, and then they call a penalty for. So, you're going to have to fight through some of these. But at the same time, some of the things that they do get away with McDavid are a little ridiculous at times. So the easy solution to this is just call the ones that have to be called. The borderline ones where it's ticky-tacky, and if you really have to think about whether you should be calling this or not as a penalty in general, then you probably shouldn't be calling it. Listen, I'm all for power plays. I'm all for scoring being up. I've made that abundantly clear over the time, over my years and the time that we've done this show. But at the same time, don't make it like 2005, 2006, where the stick was parallel to the player on the ice and they were calling a penalty when there was no actual hook.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
My answer, shockingly enough, is just going to be beer. There's going to be times where people aren't getting away with them, but the boys brought it up in the comments. Can't foul what you can't catch. That's one. And the other thing is, take for instance, we reacted to the McDavid goal against the Rangers last week, and Connor, slow down. We reacted to the McDavid goal last week. I wonder if players on the ice have it in their head they're 50% on the power play, which is unsustainable, and they're kind of acting like a basketball player with 5 fouls anytime they're out there. Just thinking, like, if you're Patrick Nemeth, you got Connor McDavid coming down. He's already gone past 2 of your guys. You're the last line of defense before the goalie. You're basically a cone next to Connor McDavid, and you're just going, okay, go to the net. I'll take a chance. Georgie makes the save, and maybe we'll be fine. Because if I take a penalty, they're putting it in the back of the net. If I try to put a stick up, they might call it. There's a lot of that stuff that's out there. And I think people aren't being aggressive with him or Leon Draisaitl. Maybe Leon Draisaitl because he's built like a brick shithouse. But McDavid's like the road runner. And all the defensemen are like Wile E. Coyote with soot on their face at the end. But at least Wile E. Coyote at least did something to try to stop him.
Are you basically saying that teams should employ the hack-a-shack mentality, like with Shaquille O'Neal? Just send him to the foul line.
Just send him to the foul line. No, you can't, because if you send him to the foul line, that's in the back of the net too. They got the number one power play in the league. Number one power play is a good deterrent.
in relation to Connor McDavid, I just want to add this real quick. Last week we had the question in Bar Talk: can Leon Draisaitl contend with McDavid for the Art Ross? Leon Draisaitl has a 4-point lead on him now. He's 33 points. McDavid's got 29. Let's just take a minute to appreciate Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah,
Leon Draisaitl is on pace for 180 points, 93 goals. Clearly, he's not going to do that, but
no.
He is a fantastic hockey player. I mean, I think, we all talk about McDavid being the best player in the world by a mile, but I think Leon Draisaitl is the second best player in the world by a decent margin. I know McKinnon's skilled and everything, but Leon Draisaitl, for his size and how he skates, how he can shoot, how he can pass the puck, he's
going to be one of the reasons why Germany might be a tough out in the Olympics.
I don't think he has enough help. I think the rest of the team is too bad. But he's great. I mean, 17 goals in 15 games. I mean, how many goals do you think he could end up with? I mean, can he score 60?
I think he could score 60. I think Leon Draisaitl's shot is more than good enough. I think he could score 150 points as well. I think his passing is just, and that's probably one of the most ridiculous. Like, his shot is underrated, but I think he's legitimately one of the, I would say, 3 best playmakers in the game. If you want to say McDavid's the best playmaker, I have no problem with anybody saying that. But Leon Draisaitl's vision is just otherworldly. It's that good.
And you know what? Yeah. And when the best thing for Edmonton was when McDavid broke his collarbone, Draisaitl got all that playing time at the top line. I remember I got him in fantasy that year, and that's where he kind of let us all know, hey, Leon Draisaitl, he's going to be a hell of a player. So, by the way, once again, just to plug, our first bar meetup is coming up in 2 weeks. It's in Hicksville. There is going to be a post on it on the YouTube page and our Facebook pages and our Instagram page. Might as well get them all. There's going to be a nice little funny video on Instagram for the Islanders coming home. You guys will like that one. And but to finish up the bar talk, so what do you think? Alexander Georgiev, were we wrong? Is he really a number 1 somewhere? I don't even know. I don't think he would be a number 1 on Arizona, but that's a different story. Do the Islanders need to add some more players? Are the Devils for real? Is Obi going to get 100 points? Is Darcy Kemper settling in and Colorado is about to go on a run? Put it all down in the comments below, guys. And we are moving on because we're going to lose Filk in about 10 minutes. So,
you know what? I'll probably be able to stay until like a 6:15, actually. So,
okay. This isn't so much an editorial. I'll be quick, guys. I'll do a quick one.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, we got this. Hopefully, my microphone doesn't screw up on the mark. This prediction that's right up here.
Being single most of my life.
Or just yell at Larry Brooks like every other New York Ranger. So recently, I heard something the other day on NHL radio, or it was somewhere, that a lot of teams have policies to do video tributes whenever a player leaves the organization and then comes back. Now, you think I'm going to be whining about Pavel Buchnevich. I like Pavel Buchnevich. The Rangers could show highlights of that birthday hat trick. He's one of very few players in NHL history to do that. I would love to have Pavel Buchnevich on this team. When Seattle comes to the Garden, and we're going to see a video tribute to Colin Blackwell, what the hell are we doing? Here's what video tributes are for. Remember when Marc Messier came back, who won a Stanley Cup, an MVP, was a dominant force for this team, scored his 500th goal as a New York Ranger? You know, where the actual memories were. And Stephen Weiss getting a video tribute from the Florida Panthers when he came back as a Red Wing, I thought was a little bit excessive. And the only reason why I even knew about that was because it was on the 24/7 that the Red Wings did that year when they played the Winter Classic versus the Maple Leafs. It's just, I don't know, guys. They should honor the former players the way they should. And again, the best ever way that a former player has ever been honored was by the Ranger fans at Madison Square Garden when Eddie Giacomin came back, there was no video tribute. There was just fans chanting Eddie, Eddie, Eddie. And even Eddie Giacomin didn't even know he was going to start that game. So I'm going to bring the guys back because it's something that I heard. And it's just something that I shake my head about. Like, I understand it's being nice. Let's honor everybody that was on the team, once a Ranger, always a Ranger. But I mean, Derek Stepan, okay, a video tribute. He had a career a hat trick to open up his career. The huge overtime goal, we know about that. He's had his moments, but at least you had your moments. I mean, if it's a policy just to give a video tribute to anybody that was on for a length of time, what are we doing?
It also depends on the level of the video tribute. Like Marc Messier's video tribute was a little different. Stopping the game for as long as they did with him was a different story. If there's a video tribute for Colin Blackwell, then that's terrible. If they want to put up a thing that says "Thank you, Colin," like on the jumbotron between face-offs or something like that,
a picture,
like
maybe
a picture that just says "Thank you." Like, okay, it's a little excessive if you ask me, just because he really didn't do a whole lot. But
like the celebrity sightings, whenever they have the celebrity sighting, usually it's like a 30 to 15-second clip. They throw it on there. They put the celebrity on there. You can always just do that. Show Colin Blackwell score.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do that
between Panarin set him up with.
Okay, but still, he played how many games with them?
Exactly.
It's not like Dan Girardi, who played 11 seasons with the Rangers. Ryan McDonough, who played, again, another 8 seasons with the Rangers. I mean, you got to – yeah, I don't need D'Angelo.
And you know something? And again, part of this comes from seeing people's reactions on Twitter and conversations. But, I mean –
oh, I'm crying.
You don't have to worry about Twitter talking about a Tony D'Angelo tribute. Stop. They got their own tribute for him on Twitter.
Stop. Man.
And yeah, and again, Rich, that's why I'm picking out Blackwood, because he's the most ridiculous.
Blackwell.
Oh my God, when the Rangers lost in the expansion draft. Oh, Colin Blackwell played great for us. Oh, shut up. He's got 2 more goals than Daniel Gano.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like Zuccarello, Zuccarello definitely deserved it. Zuccarello was a big part of the team for a bit. But again, you gotta be careful with who you give these things to, because when you start giving them to guys like Blackwell, you're setting the bar extremely low. And then everybody and their grandmother who played, what are you gonna give on to Carl Rakunik? If you ever came back coaching a team, something like that? Come on, Sandy's Ozelinch.
Yeah.
My God.
It's not Dan Girardi coming back when he was with the Sabres as assistant coach last year.
Well, that's
I don't know if they
gave
him a
11 seasons with Girardi.
Yeah.
11. And he wore a letter.
Yeah. And by the way, Mike, I love this quote because it makes you think of the line from The Incredibles. If everyone's super, then nobody is. So I always like seeing this comment. I'll never get tired of seeing I agree with Marc. So
it said Mike.
Oh, that's why I should have read it first.
Marc. I'll never get tired of Marc can't read.
In my defense, the blocker is blocking me. So the arm that I have for the microphone was blocking it for a minute. Did they ever? Jesse brought up a good one. Did they ever give it to him?
I think they probably did, but I don't remember it. I might have missed that.
There we go. That helps it. Thanks, Gene.
Oh, okay. You know what, AZ? You know what? You could have just said you were agreeing with Mike MYR, and I would have liked you a lot more, because it would have really just shut down Marc, and that would have been a nice little dig for me. You couldn't just help me out here, buddy. Couldn't throw
but
me
before I throw it back to Anthony, I did want to throw Rich's comment right there. The Brett Howden video tribute.
That happens, and I'm done. I go walk straight off of a pier into
But even with the Islanders, they knew what Tavares was in for with the fans. They still gave him a video tribute. He still skated on the ice, waved to everybody, and then he took his medicine.
I think video tribute should be left for a player who played at least five seasons for a team, and made a fairly decent impact on them. Like Zach Parise in Minnesota when the Islanders played the Wild, he got a video tribute, which I have no problem for. He played there 9 years.
Yeah.
He's amongst their all-time leader in goals and points, so I get it.
Yeah.
But I think of a guy played 1 or 2 seasons with a team.
Agree, Mike.
And he gets a video tribute. To me, that's just it's like
I mean, Brian Suter going back. Give him a video tribute. Jonathan Tate, video tribute.
Oh, I don't know about that.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. I was still thinking about the on-ice stuff before the other stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let me get away from that. But I mean, I certainly would never have given a video tribute to Glenn Anderson. So,
why?
Like, thanks for participating for that 20 games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. What do you guys think? Are video tributes getting worn down? Watered down. And you think they're becoming less meaningful? Throw it down in the comments below. And again, I kept on going with the Colin Blackwell one because that's the obvious one. So, hold on.
Calling for that, just ugh.
I don't remember a boss ever coming up to me and saying, "Wow, yeah, hey, you did the bare minimum, so good for you." So, this week was the Hall of Fame, and there was a great topic that they were talking about on NHL Network when I was picking up my lunch, and that was next year you're going to get a pretty good class. You're going to get the Sedin twins, Roberto Luongo, Rick Nash is available. Trying to think of what one of the other ones are. But how do you look at the Sedin twins? You think they're Hall of Famers?
Yeah. I would have to say that.
Are they in as a duo or is they in it as themselves?
I think that both of them are going to go in. I mean, both. I believe Daniel won a scoring trophy, and then Henrik, I think, won a scoring trophy.
He won the Art Ross in 2011, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, Daniel won the Art Ross in 2011 with 104 points and 41 goals. He has 1,041 points, 393 goals, and 1,306 games. And he was consistently one of the better players in the league for a very, very long time. So I would say that, you know what, in another era, these guys would have had more points, both of them. And Henrik had 1070 in 1,330 games, and he won the Hart and the Art Ross in 2010. So, I mean, for a while, they were a big part of a Vancouver team that was right there near the top of the league. So I'm going to say that these guys should both be in the Hall of Fame. And even in his last season at 37, going on 37 years old, he put up 50 points. That's really good for a 37-year-old. So I'm going to say, yeah, I think these guys make the Hall of Fame. There might not be first ballot guys, but I think they do.
Anthony.
Anth?
He's moving a little bit. I think he froze.
I'm gonna have to actually back out of here myself, though. So I will see you guys later. I gotta
enjoy your game. I got my game at Bethpage tonight. So
yeah, good luck with yours.
Good luck, Filk.
Yeah, thank you. We will talk more later.
Just in time for Anthony to come back. By the way, I'm a bit of a sadist because, as I said before, 11 o'clock hockey game at Bethpage, and then a 7:24 tea time in Medford.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yikes. Good luck with that, buddy. I will talk to you guys later.
See you later, Phil.
Later. Bye,
everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, we got Brendel right after the Sedin's wins. Ugh.
Pavel Brendel's was a bad pick.
I mean, a lot of those players in that draft were all bad except for the Sedin's wins. Really?
Yeah.
It's basically them and then no one else.
It's
And
yeah.
Jamie Lundmark. Oh, I don't know if that guy got railroaded or if he just wasn't that good. But
I don't think he was that good.
But Roberto Luongo is up for Hall of Fame next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has the the stats to back up a Hall of Fame bid. He almost won a Stanley Cup. He got there and lost to the Bruins in 2011. So yeah,
he gave up 10 goals with the chance to win the Stanley Cup.
He's got an
11,
Olympic.
I'm sorry.
He's got an Olympic gold medal to his name.
Yeah.
And he was one of the elite goalies in the league for a while. So I think you could put him in that category with Lundqvist as the one of the kind of like the best goalies to ever play that never won a cup.
483 wins after leaving the New York Islanders.
Yeah.
They should have never, ever traded him.
Well, you could thank Milbury. Milbury was in love with DiPietro's puck playing ability, and he thought that DiPietro was just as talented and added that element that Luongo lacked. He got it wrong. Boy, did he get it wrong.
Yeah. So then there's that. There are some guys that are believing that Rick Nash is a Hall of Famer. I don't know about that. By the way, going back to
I don't see a Rick Nash to be a Hall of Famer.
That's very good. That's not a Hall of Famer. Now,
I mean,
again,
if you're going to let Rick Nash in the Hall of Fame, I mean, where's the cutoff? I mean, does Alexa Yashin get in the Hall of Fame? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It would be a little ridiculous for me.
Well, Anthony, I got this one for you. I've been talking about this for a while. Mike Richter, I think if you take his NHL stats, 300 wins in the tie era, a Stanley Cup, and you add on his USA play, granted, Calgary, he was okay. He was pretty good. He was the best player in Nagano for the United States, and they got crushed. And probably he was best. And then right after him was LaFontaine had a good play, Olympic year that year. You throw in the 96 World Cup of hockey. He was the best player in the tournament, as the hardware suggests. And he was right there for Team USA in 2002. Those are 4 instances where his international play needs to be brought to the forefront.
Yeah, no, for sure. I just think for Richter, other than the Stanley Cup, I don't know if his NHL regular season accolades are quite good enough. I mean, he was never really. I mean, I would say he was never really like the clearly head and above the best goalie in the league.
You know who he was as far as that goes? He's like Ryan McDonough. He had the ability to get up there. He did one year in '94. He was a Vezina finalist.
Yeah,
he was a money goalie in the playoffs. And the one thing I point out to people when it's an argument of who's better, Henrik or Richter, I always point out Henrik, because let's not forget, Mike Richter lost his starting job in '95.
Yeah, Henrik was much more skilled than Richter was.
Yeah, I mean, Henrik also worked at it. So,
yeah.
I mean, not that Mike Richter didn't. Henrik avoided major injuries.
Yep.
Other than the one on the neck. So, you got a brand new building to go to.
Yep.
Hopefully we got some video of you and your experience as an Islander fan at the building. Wink, wink. Just a hint. You could drop me some videos soon. I could cut it together. What is the first thing you're looking forward to when you go to that arena?
I just think seeing it and just the grandness of it, walking in and, seeing the lobby and all the detail and the work. I know they're going to have a wall somewhere inside where a plaque with everyone's name on it who was an inaugural season ticket holder for this season. So just seeing stuff like that, seeing just the architecture of it, I can't wait. As an Islander fan, we've been waiting for a brand new building since forever, really.
The White House.
Yeah. So the fact that it's finally here and you're gonna be able to go see it is really cool.
If you want to even go further back, you can go back to Spano.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be a great night. Obviously, Islander fans are disappointed with their record, but honestly, I don't think that's going to take anything away from Saturday night. I think it's going to be crazy. I think it's going to be an event, and I'm really looking forward to it. And and when you look at the situation, when you look, like, for instance, when you look at the standings, and you see where the Islanders are right now, it's disappointing. But you gotta remember they haven't played a single game at home yet, which is hard to fathom because we're almost at Thanksgiving, and they're only what 6 points out of a playoff spot. I mean,
Yeah.
for not playing a home game. I mean, that's huge. I mean, it's a serious disadvantage that they had. And I think, like, for instance, look, if they were 5-6-2 and they had played 6 home games, it's a different story. But not playing any home games is a real detriment to them. And now that they're going to be home, I think we're going to really see what the Islander team is made out of.
Well, I do know most of the building is going to be cashless because the director of operations is a friend of mine, and she was trying to get me in to do a tour for the channel, but we never got around to it. And also they had construction delays. So instead of worrying about that, we'll worry about that for another time. But I never went to Barclays Center. I always kind of said I'll get around to it. This is the first time you guys are actually going to have a building kind of worthy of an NHL club. And maybe since, like, the Coliseum was new, like the early 80s or stuff like that. If Lou says it best right here, if you build it, they will come.
And I remember going to the first ever game at Barclays Center, and it just didn't feel like home. It didn't.
Well, your scoreboard was over a blue line.
Yeah.
It's sort of it's like going to a friend or a family and sleeping in a guest bed and having your feet hanging out the end, and your bed you're sleeping in a kid's bed or something like that. You're like, this just isn't comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's what the Islanders kind of were. They were shoehorned in there, and they built that arena for hockey, which I'm surprised they still didn't. It would have been great. Concerts are great going there, as Jesse says, and he's right. But I mean, and then the Islanders went back to the Coliseum. It was made to be a smaller venue and place, and so then now you're actually getting an actual capacity of people there, and I actually can't wait to go see a game there. And it's not because it's my job, but it's also because it's there you go, Harry. Is the second part about it. If you build it, it should boost the team.
I absolutely should boost the team. I mean, these guys are dying to get back home and play home games. And as I said earlier, there really is something to be said for playing 13 hockey games and each night having the crowd be against you, having them, it really picks you up when a guy throws a big hit and the crowd crowd cheers. I mean, it goes through these players like a jolt of lightning. They're going to be fired up. They're going to be, playing for obviously playing for themselves and playing to win, but they definitely play for the fans. I mean, the Islander fans are going to be fired up. And I think that's going to light an extra step under each and every one of them. When they are digging down deep for that extra source of energy, the fans can really give it to them. And I think that's what they're going to do.
Like, I was trying to get us tickets and get a group tickets for everybody to go to the Devils game when they were here. And you had a good group of Islander fans that were there at that Devils game because, after all, it's the Devils. There's going to be available tickets.
Yeah.
But it's just it wasn't the same. Get ready, because they're going to unleash hell on Saturday. So Plus, getting home to see your family, spending a night in your own bed. Should have a minor league. Actually, you know what? That would actually be clever. The Coney Islander babies, they could bring them over here. The building And the building didn't make sense for better or for worse. That's right, Rick. And, but we know that now. And hell, you won your first playoff series in 23 years, and half the stadium didn't even know. It was because it was on the end that had the car. So.
I mean, I don't. Depending on the context of that statement, I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. The building doesn't make the team better or worse. I mean, in some cases, yes, but in some cases, I don't know if I. Yeah, I mean, I think the building absolutely can make you better. I mean, you're telling me that the Islanders, won't be better at UBS Arena as opposed to being in Philadelphia on a random night. I mean, I don't. I think the building absolutely does make a difference.
Drive two cars. Drive a car that's got 150,000 miles and has been worn down to crap.
Well done.
But still will get from A to B, and then have a brand new lease car that's coming right off the lot. You're going to be happy driving that lease car. So, because we're probably going to go about maybe another 10 more minutes, guys. Because I know Anthony is going to have to run, and I got myself a hockey game in a few hours. But, well, Rick, that's a good point. And let me address this one. By the way, let me also go back to what Lou says before. Forum has always helped Montreal. But Madison Square Garden is the world's most famous arena. And everybody dreams about eventually playing at Madison Square Garden. Yeah, as other kids are going to want to play at the Bell Center and it's not the Air Canada Center anymore. I think it's like everything's Rogers Center now in Canada. But there's always those games people those arenas people want to go play at. When you go into the Madison Square Garden, players get their best shot because they want to do it there. And if in New York, you make it here, you make it everywhere. Yeah, MSG is a little bit too corporate, but a lot of people have kind of started saying the bridge level blocks out a lot of sound. So that's about that. Bringing Stu up. I don't know which one is Stu. By the way, did this happen or is this a possibility? I didn't catch up anything today. Yeah, they did make it worse. It's not as loud as what it used to be, Lou. You're right about that. But the Garden is always going to get people's adrenaline pumping, and they're gonna be trying to give their shot. I would actually, and by the way, as a fan, as an individual fan, I thank you, Rick. Thank you, Rich. As a fan, I love MSG. As an individual, as a Ranger fan, as a collective, I'd rather have the building be a little bit louder. They should have really thought about that. And you know what? You don't know if UBS is going to be as loud. I mean, lots of stuff happens with teams going into a new building. Like the Yankees had some early troubles in 2009, and the Mets. Jeez, the Mets. Rich, I would actually get Zach up here. If they want to get Lundqvist down in the minors just to get him some playing time, get some power play time, I'm okay with that. And bringing Zach up. As long as you know, yeah. I don't know. That's why I was confused on the Stu. I'm like, who do we got as Stu? They can always, as long as the player can mentally handle it. And so far with Lundqvist, I knew he could. So getting him more familiar with the North American game would definitely help. Statboy Steven would be a great guy to ask about that. Unfortunately, come next week, I'll be able to ask him for real in face to face. But
So I had guys leave.
Oh no, it's okay. I know you were having work done to the house. I mean,
it's ridiculous right now.
Yeah. Well, Rich, just to say this, he's been invisible, but sometimes that's not all bad because we're not noticing him giving the puck away in the defensive end.
Talking about Nils?
Yeah, Nils.
Yeah,
bringing up Jones.
It's I think a lot of Ranger fans were kind of pumping his tires hard at the beginning of the year.
I was.
With expectations. But I think that's why you have to try to be realistic with young D. Unless your name is a guy like Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes, you're not going to come in and score 50 points off the bat and be this prolific defenseman. I think Nils needs a little more seasoning, and there's no harm in sending him to Hartford. There's not.
There's no harm in that, and also it might help him get his
him.
confidence up. If he's the guy that's going to be able to sit in the press box, diagram what he needs to do, look down at the ice, and figure out some things. I mean, that's what it is. We never got to go back to you on this, and Chris Frost just brought this one up, Anthony. But what do you? Oh, wait, sorry, I moved it. Chris Frost. There we go. What do you think about Pollock missing a lot of time?
When I think about it, I hate it. I think, obviously it's no secret that Pelech and Pollock together are the best shutdown pair in the National Hockey League. They've proved it with their play the last couple of years. And unfortunately, due to Chara and Green, Barry had to switch things up, and he had to split them up. And I think that's hurt the team a little bit. And now that Pollock's out, I mean, Pelech's going to feel a lot of the pressure on his shoulders because, Scott Mayfield is a good, legitimate top 4 defenseman, but it's really just him and Pelech at this point. And, Noah Dobson's still young, and he struggled a little bit this year. So it's going to hurt them. As I said, even before he got hurt, they needed help defensively. And now it's just going to be even more magnified. So it's going to hurt them. I mean, they can only hope that, Robin Salo comes up if that's what they decide to do. That move hasn't transpired yet. But if Robin Salo can come up, who's been great in the AHL and hit the ground running, similar to how Devon Taves did a couple of years ago when they brought him up for the first time, that would be like the best case scenario for the Islanders. Because either it's that or, as we all talked about before, trying for Lou to swing a trade. And I mean, I don't know what your thoughts on that, Marc, are, but I do believe that's going to be hard. I think it's going to be hard right now to do that.
It's also difficult because what exactly are the attractive assets for another team? It's great that Lou has been collecting some assets to get rid of contracts and stuff like that. I mean, he's got still his first round draft pick, so I guess that's something, but it's I don't know. I don't know.
It depends what type of defenseman you're. I mean, listen. The fact is, you're not going to replace a Ryan Pollock.
Yeah,
you're just not going to do it. So it really determines what type of defenseman he's trying to acquire. Like you're you're right. Like if he's focusing on a top tier defenseman, then tractable assets going back the other way is a question that they might struggle with. But I mean, if they're just looking for just a solid defenseman, nothing outrageous, then that's feasible. Because now you're talking for that type of player, you're talking about a third round pick, maybe a second round pick and a prospect if the defenseman's a little on the higher side.
Like depth guys, that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's why I'm not exactly confident on what they got as far as on the trade market. And also, as you said it best, some teams, the only team that's out of it is Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona's trying to target their way for the bottom. You can't really replace Pollock, as what Brody's saying right there. Actually, Anthony, you want a real nightmare? Here you go. We'll give you Hayek. Actually, Chris asked me on one of the comments on the Patrick Kane video that we did, which was, would you trade? Let me get. Sorry, Chris, I gotta do this to you. Would you trade for Josh Bailey and a 4th round pick for and give back Kravtsov in a second? And no, absolutely not. You don't want to accidentally help your opponents.
Bailey and a 4th.
Bailey and a 4th for the Rangers, 2nd and Kravtsov for the Islanders. Nope.
I mean, if you're an Islander fan, you do that.
Take that.
You do that.
Take that and run with it. By the way, a lot of the chatter has been on Keandre Miller. I'm going to get to him in a second.
Yeah.
Actually, we'll get to him right now. Anthony just got up. The would I send Miller down? That's where you got to look at the player and gauge that. I still can't believe for the life of me that they tried sending down Kravtsov. Like, you knew he wasn't going to go down. Why? So trade Miller. If I could, I would open up discussions with the LA Kings and seeing whether or not they would be willing to part with Alex Turcotte and what would it take to get him. Because right now, Alex Turcotte is blocked from really being able to do something there. They got two good centers. They got and by the way, yes, Rich, he was a winger and really didn't come into his own until they switched him to D. Maybe even moving him back to a wing might help, but it's the NHL. He's right now in a sophomore slump. I mean, granted, you'd have to be great as a freshman, but he's still learning the game. That's where the hard part is. I would go try to move heaven and earth to get Alex Turcotte because that way you can get there. Yeah, but at least he tries to explain it. Booch, I believe, just got his second goal the other night. He had a great assist on a power play goal for St. Louis. But Bucha hasn't exactly not exactly been tearing it up. It was Cairo. Yeah, he had a backhand pass all the way over to Cairo. It was a thing of beauty. Now I'm gonna actually have to look this up. Sorry guys for wasting some time here. But active teams. Because again, in a perfect world, I would have loved it if Pavel Buchnevich would have been there. Jordan Cairo was leading that team. All right, Buch has got 9 points, and he's got 4 goals, 5 assists. Still not bad. So, yeah. Cairo was an offensive force. Yeah, they got Tarasenko. He's actually playing on the second line right now, Buch is. He's been playing with Tarasenko. And yeah, Buch has always been streaky. Again, when I said the Rangers have to trade Buchnevich is because if you watch the Ray Ferraro interview that he had, all of these conversations, everything begins and ends with the cap. You got to go with whatever the cap is going to be. Yeah, Buch is picking it up now. I think he's actually starting to settle in from being there. Yeah. But, and again, 100% on that. And another guy that's picking it up is Tony DeAngelo. Those are two guys before we even started doing the stream, I had a video, bold predictions, that Buchnevich and DeAngelo were going to get traded either in season or at the NHL draft. I was right about one, and wow, was I off on the other. But I also thought the Rangers were done with Tony DeAngelo after he slammed the door on opening night and got an extra 2-minute penalty. It's just there are guys that you gotta think about the cap. Yeah, he was a good Ranger. He was a very good Ranger. Buchnevich was. But again, I liked him. But you also had to see what you had remaining with. You couldn't leave Kravtsov on the fourth line or in the minors, and then that's what they did. So I'm shaking my head on that one still, guys. I don't understand why you didn't just keep Kravtsov an extra 2 weeks and tried to see what you had with him. Well, and Jesse, you're right about that. Thankfully, we didn't need Tony D as much. And again, Adam Fox was projected to basically take his job, and so was Nils Lundqvist. Sooner or later, guys knock on the door and move out someone else. John Van Beesbrook got moved out for Mike Richter. Well, the other way around was Sergei Zubov got moved, but again, I think that was just a huge mistake. There's a lot of those. And as Brody brings it up, you got to balance your star players with guys on LLCs. And Jesse, right back at you. Oof, Hayek. What are we doing with Libor Hayek on this roster? They still have Hayek. Okay, that's good to know. So help might be on the way for the New York Islanders. And again, by the way, David, you were right about that. That's one reason why Brady Shea had to go. And that and also his contract. He's making $5 million. Everybody got Tom Wilson money that year. Jack, thoughts on Loft getting bumped up to the first line? You know something? I'm now kind of going in a different thought on Loft and Kakko and just kind of letting it go where they may. Kakko's starting to pick up his confidence, starting to get in there. Loft doesn't seem to be pouting at all about playing with the fourth line for a little bit. So, I mean, and if he can bring that third line up, bring their play up, because Hedl doesn't distribute. And Gauthier is going to need somebody to distribute. Lafreniere will distribute. And I like that. I like having him where he is. Eventually, I like him and Kakko to get the power play one. That's one reason why I wouldn't mind if Ryan Strome got shipped out. But if they can keep Ryan Strome affordable, might as well hold on to him since he works out with Panarin. And yeah, there's lots of guys. There's lots of guys that are just every sport's got them. They got Herb Brooks said it best. You have $1 million set of legs and a 10-cent fart for a brain. And he was quoted in the newspaper saying that about Eric Strobel. He mentioned that in one of the documentaries. But, and by the way, you know something? Mike, that's a great nickname for him now. He's Hijack. There you go. Goudreau's not a first liner. We need to get him down into the bottom six. As of right now, he's playing okay. He's not playing great, but he needs to be in the bottom six. And it's not even a problem with him on the first line as much as you have to strengthen the bottom six. I would consider swapping him and Gauthier, but now you're making Zibanejad the only guy that's moving that puck over there. Playmaker, yeah. Talented assholes. A lot of them. But by the way, starting to see Kakko with some confidence and also Loft scoring that goal Sunday night was big. Barrett Hayden for Kravtsov. Why not? Why not? I actually watched some of Barrett Hayden the other day. I was watching but is everybody else enjoying ESPN Plus right now? Or if you don't have it, or just Hulu, because you're getting all the hockey games anyway, and good. Yes, lots of guys improve their skating as they go on in their careers, and they're also number one draft picks. John Tavares improved his skating. That's another one that goes in there. We're gonna go a few more minutes, guys. Goudreau's good at winning faceoffs. He needs to teach everybody else with that. He'll play great with patience in front of the net. Yeah, and yeah, it's great being able to watch all these games. Yeah. And I mean, I still have a friend of mine's center ice passcode, and I haven't used it in a while because I've been watching all the games on ESPN and ESPN Plus. But by the way, the one thing I do have to say, when you watch a lot of these games, you can see what benefit and what privilege New York fans have. Brendan Burke and a couple guys. Well, I definitely be afraid of the horse's head that you leave in my bed. You know, in all honesty, if Lou Lamoriello came knocking on my door tomorrow, I would just be enjoying that. But yeah, you could see how fortunate we are to be New York fans and have the announcers that we do. Even though one of them is Butch Goring, I think I have trouble listening to Butch Goring. This is a good question. I'm actually trying to see specifically what his system is. Part of the problem about when your primary job as a bartender is that I actually spend more time being able to watch the highlights of games. So I'm trying to actually see what their breakouts are or anything. I guess the number one guy I'd compare him to maybe Tortorella. I don't know if they really use the Rangers on zone coverage and man-to-man coverage. Gotta get all that down. I've just been enjoying being able to watch a game whenever I can. Last night was great, even though I was doing a lot of editing and graphic work and getting everything ready for this. Again, by the way, Turcotte also fills a need. Turcotte's a center. And it's not just to get another Turcotte on this team, because Darren Turcotte was one of my favorites. Well, Panarin is in the OV spot. Panarin's usually right there. He's just not shooting. He's distributing. That's when Panarin got up there, they moved Zibanejad into the middle. And then Zibanejad had a career season. Jesse, you don't have to worry about that as much. Because Florida was kind of an interesting situation with management and him. He wanted to have more input. Oh, sorry, Jack. And by the way, I do that a little bit too fast because I read too quickly. There is a learning disability I had when I was younger. That I did improve on it a little bit. Closed captioning worked out well. But he wanted more input in Florida and on personnel. I think him and Drury are working a little bit better. I'm not as worried about Gallant. Pete DeBoer would be somebody that would worry me. Pete DeBoer can come in, get your team in the Stanley Cup Finals, and then they're never going to improve. Oh, Jack, sorry about that. One thing that has been great to see, yeah, it's definitely a lot more effective than when Mika Zibanejad was down there. Because Mika's plan under AV when he was here was just bombs away. That's all it was with him. Which is good, but also it's, it gets a little rough. Yeah. They're usually really good at keeping teams to the outside. Although, as Filk has said, the Rangers are among the worst in high danger chances. When he read off the stats, he said till November 12th is when he said it. So right after Veterans Day. And that was shortly after their West Coast trip and after that embarrassment in Calgary. So you get the Florida Panthers that are in there. Yeah, that was a lot. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. I think it definitely looks a little bit more like a zone system. Which there's see, I don't know. I every team I've ever played on has always been a zone system. So even going back to juniors, we're always a zone. All right. Well, again, by the way, going from a zone system to man is one of the reasons why the Rangers were abysmal in 2015. And yes, they got too few odd man breaks. Will Pionemi get a look with Sammy gone? That's a great question. I mean, he's in Hartford, so they can't bring him up. I'm going to go yes. You're going to see Lori Pionemi this year. So, I mean, well, because, and again, one fault of that when you do that is if you're doing man-to-man, as soon as you lose your guy, it's over. That guy then is wide open. So, but also, here's the one thing we got to keep in mind. He's looking really good in Hartford, but is he getting power play one time when he gets called up with the Rangers? Probably not. You know what? There's a spot on the right side as a Banijad and Kreider. I would not be surprised about it. I was happy that we got to see Morgan Barron, and that was again, I haven't been able to watch as many, but there we go. Morgan deserved more than a cup of coffee. By the way, guys, once again, just gonna plug this again, the bar meetup. I get rid of the ticker for that too. The bar meetup coming up in 2 weeks. Get rid of that now. I can't wait for that. If you guys are local, come on down. I'm trying to fill the place up. We're going to do a show. It is actually also Mr. John Falkowski's birthday on the 30th. So there's going to be a little bit of that. But like I said, I bought a Mika Zibanejad autographed jersey as well as a Dennis Potvin autographed jersey. And we're going to set up some pools for that. We're also going to do a 50-50 raffle too. I'll tell you why and where the charity is going when we're there. And Anthony is working on a studio guest, and it'd be great if he gets who we're trying to get. So you gotta love that. All right. You know something, Mike? You guys are 100% right on this because it's just not natural. See, shameless self-promotion. I could joke about it when I'm out with friends or if I'm handing out thousands and thousands of business cards as of late. We even got coasters that we're giving out soon. I'm hoping to get some t-shirts too. But yeah, get some more likes. You know, Chris, that's a great question. I looked for throwback jerseys for the Islanders or jerseys that somebody just signed. I ended up going with a Potvin jersey because it was signed by Dennis Potvin. It's at least a reasonable deal, but it's just that the Islanders are a team that reflects on their past so much. I think it almost is to the detriment of their current team. Now they finally have their current team that you got good players, you got them all getting recognized. And Anthony, feel free to make a comment right now. But it's, it was always the dynasty guys. Then it was LaFontaine. Then it was Turgeon. Then it was DiPietro, Yashin, and Pekka. Those were their stars. And then, yeah, there you go. Comment on it, who you'd like to see Anthony go out and go get. I gave him a list, and I can give him another list soon. Like Henrik Lundqvist is retired now. He's no longer a He's no longer a current player. It's hard to get current players. I mean, LaFontaine would have been good. Like, I was looking for autographed jerseys. This will be one of those things that hopefully, if we ever get big enough, somebody else does all the legwork, because I'm not the best at that, and I'm also not the best negotiator either. Oh, I'm terrible at negotiations. It's just whenever. Oh, it's why I always have to bring somebody whenever I go get a car. It's just talk to him on the price. Everything else looks good. Just tell me how much. Wow, we just went through it. All right, they're good. Leo, by the way, welcome back. So glad to see Kako playing. And yeah, I've been high on Kako, even though a lot of people weren't. Filk wasn't last week. And Goche needs to play. We talked about the Kravtsov situation. Goche needs to play. Need to know what you got in Goche, otherwise you got to get rid of him. You know, Chris, and it's Matthew Barnaby would be a good one. And you know what? Everybody's going to talk about one shining moment of his life, because if it's life, it's not just his career. It's that he had that hat trick on Mother's Day in the playoffs. That was amazing. That was great. That was 97. That was during the year of where the Hasek drama was going on. Colton Orr would be a good one. We've talked. I think we were reaching out to Colton Orr, Sean Avery, Sigmund Polfey. You know what? I would bring mommy. No, okay. No, she's just mom. She's always been mom. I would bring my mother, but she doesn't really negotiate as well as me. Fortunately, I have a couple of my friends that they're much better. It's just okay. Talk to my friend John. Yeah, I gotta say, Ray Ferraro was fantastic today. He was great, and there were so many more things. I wanted to ask him. He'd be a great guy to have a beer with too. Speaking about which, yeah, both of you guys are on this, Lou and Mikey, Adam Graves. There's only one problem that I have, and I have a picture of it. I'll share it on or I'll just show it to you in person if I see you on the 28th. There's only one person I get starstruck by, and it's Adam Graves, because Adam Graves, I have never heard a bad Adam Graves story from anybody. Islander fan, Ranger fan, nobody. I've heard bad stories about other players. Adam Graves is always a good one. And the Islander fans I know, they love Adam Graves. No, I think if he continues with his success right now, I think he stays with Panarin and Strome. But if they need a puck mover, they might be better off going with him. I do like how he's getting himself into the house and doing everything that needs to be done. By the way, so the Pat LaFontaine, most points by any player that only played for New York teams. And that's the thing, the state of New York too. I actually look more fondly on the Ray Ferraro time. And I think it's only because the Rangers were winning more, and Ferraro, I still think, got a raw deal and he shouldn't have gotten traded. By the way, one of the questions I didn't ask Ray Ferraro, and I'm asking you guys right now, you can go ahead and put it down in the comments right now, but his former teammate on the Islanders, Travis Green, they had ownership meeting with Jim Benning, the president and GM of the Vancouver Canucks. Should Travis Green be on the hot seat at all? I don't think so. I think you fire Jim Benning. It'd be one of the rare times you fire a GM and say stick with this coach, because I don't think he's done that bad. Nick Patiu, yeah. Mike Richter would be a great guest. Richter is, oh wow. I can't help it. I can't help but say that. So still talking with Filk about getting the wrestling channel going. We're still in the process. We're in development, guys. This is our passion. We love this. So hopefully you get to see more of that. Esa Tikkanen, yeah. I gotta say, Darius Kasparaitis was so good. He was so good. I would love to get Sam Rosen. You know what, Leo? I've said this before. I'll say this again. Sam Rosen got robbed by Kevin Collins, the lineman, in Game 7 of 1994. What I mean that he got robbed was Zubov drives it around. Larmer clears the zone. That's it. 54 years of curses are over. No more 1940. That was going to be the signature call for the rest of his life. And instead, they called an icing and they had to do it all over again. And it's, that would be great. I mean, after all, he's an analyst and he's everywhere right now. Ooh. If you want to see, Anthony, you want to see somebody make Filk gush? Doc Emmerich. Gretz, you know what the great part is about, and I think Eddie Olczyk would be a guy. We're starting, and we're starting to catch on. This is a slow process, and we're hoping we're going to be going to the All-Star game this year, and we can meet some of these guys face to face. But that's a great thing about having these guys on, where they're on for 15 minutes. You ask them a couple questions, and then hopefully Keith Jones remembers I was asking him about his one and only penalty shot in his career. Ray Ferraro, though. Man, Ray Ferraro killed the Rangers. And then, unfortunately, trading him, I think, killed the Rangers. That team, that 96 team, they had an unbeaten month in January, and then they fell apart in February and such. Colin Campbell's second year coaching, too. All right. Guys, I'm going to cut it off right here because I got to get this up for iTunes and Spotify. We're going to probably have the Ray Ferraro interview first tonight. If you're not following us on Instagram, Big Apple Hockey, there's underscores in between each word and at the end. There's also, check out get Glenn Anderson. Ask him what his money for nothing is like. Glenn Anderson, thank you very much for taking away a Stanley Cup ring from Mike Gartner. So, who I wore 22 for when I was playing with the Ramapo Junior Rangers. So there's that. So we got a couple. We're trying to build up our Instagram following. I need somebody better for social media management. I am not the guy to be doing this. This is not my game. And I can only imagine what Statboy Steven would be like for a wrestling show, Joe. That would be great. But rest assured, when we get this going, we're going to get something good. We didn't even get Sean on the show today. I didn't see him. Baloo, thank you very much. Guys, have a great night. It is great seeing you. We're hoping to do more of these, more per week. Like next week is going to be a little bit tricky because it's going to be Thanksgiving Eve. Can't wait for that because I'm a bartender. You can see the look on my face and understand exactly what I'm thinking. And it's always great to hear that you guys are following us. And hopefully we'll be doing more and more like this, everybody. No. But yeah, it's always a great stream. Yeah, like the video, share us. And we're hoping to keep building our cult more and more as the days go on. So guys, thank you very much because you're the reason why we do this. So, and I myself am going to enjoy my game. I'm going to be playing around the block in about 3 more hours. So maybe I get a little nap in first. All right. You know what? My ex-fiance was great at Mario Kart. She could have been ranked worldwide. But yeah. I and Star Road was always a good one. By the way, that's also the reason why I'm not clean shaven right now. It's because I'm going to be putting on my mask and my helmet, and every time the chin strap, it ends up causing a razor rash. So the package gotta keep this looking pristine. All right, and yeah, smash that like button. Yeah, because I got to get one of those where you're actually doing that, and it's smashing the like button. But a lot of these are in the edited versions, which I got a brand new computer, but I don't know if I'm still gonna. I think I might stick with LumaFusion anyway. LumaFusion, by the way, for any amateur editors, fantastic. Highly recommend it. Although I might go back to Final Cut Pro soon, but we'll see about that. I'm probably going to launch a whole new channel just on video editing. So, guys, again, thank you very much. And I can't wait to do this next week. Hopefully, you guys could come on down on the 28th in Hicksville. We have the bar meetup, and it's going to be a great time. It's a great place to go, and it's going to be fantastic. So, yeah, I'm still at All Things Ranger, even though I list Big Apple Hockey. I like using both. I can't help with that. It's also, by the way, as All Things Ranger, I can also I can be a little bit sarcastic and snarky. There's Filk 92 and 82, and of course, our Anthony LaRocco, booking extraordinaire, who is clearly right now trying out all the graphics. But this is Anthony's revenge. Now he's actually crushing my head. All right, guys. Thank you very much. And I will talk to you all next week, hopefully sooner. And why isn't it going?